Wild world of sports, local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is with a steal. He's with it.
I need to report a possible crime.
It's made of snow, Miss.
No, things are worse than I had feared.
There's snow.
Canadian winter. Delivering the power, control, stability, and grit you need. And when the temperature plummets, you'll cruise in comfort with heated seats and heated steering wheel. All this plus peace of mind with Subaru's top safety pick status for 19 years running. Winter time into visit Subaru.ca.
For hospitals in your corner. Keep pathways clear of snow with the Echo PB770D backpack blower. Or go even...
Dips it soft, out on rough, McDavid. And now Boo Sharp stepping in.
for free. 2.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it.
Great job.
Should never mean compromise. Kick standard heated front seats and available all-wheel drive help keep you warm and confident. That's winter ready. Now, lease a 2026 Kicks S all-wheel drive for $398 monthly at 2.9%. Visit your local Nissan dealer today or Nissan.ca for more details. Lease term for 60 months with 0 down. Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
The Jason Gregor Show. Sports 1440.
Dips it soft, out on rushing McDavid. And now Boo Sharp stepping in.
20 years. Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 2 o'clock, how are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely Monday. It's a little bit warmer, which is nice. The Edmonton Oilers early start tonight as they take on the Anaheim Ducks. Of course, the Oilers will have a new face in the lineup tonight. Josh Szymanski will be getting his first NHL start tonight. Of course, Szymanski was signed out of the German Elite League, played down in Bakersfield this time and leads them in even strength scoring. Big center iceman, decent on draws at the AHL level. Obviously, the NHL's another beast in every aspect of the game, and interested to see how he does tonight. And likely will start the game on a line with Jack Roslovic and Matt Savoy. Draisaitl with Kasperi Kapanen, who's back in the lineup with Podkolzin, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, and McDavid. That's what we think. They didn't skate today. And then you leave the Lazar, Frederick, Janmark line together. Defense pairings the same. Bouchard, Ekholm, Nurse, and Emberson, Stastny, and Wallman. And Tristan Jarry will get the start in goal tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. The Jason Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. You can also, we'll have the Jason Gregor Show special odds for you coming up in a bit. One game has been postponed tonight. The LA Kings and Columbus. Lots of snow out in eastern United States, eastern Canada. I know the American League had some games postponed yesterday. Some teams snowed in, and now it comes to the NHL as well. So Columbus and LA, they'll make that game up in March. It was a crazy weekend. Of course, Evan Bouchard had a game of his life. Evan Bouchard's had a lot of good games, but nothing like what you saw on Saturday night. And we're going to get into that because it's not something I think that should just be kind of ho-hum, whatever. It's a big deal. It does not happen very often in the NHL. The defenseman has 3 goals, has 6 points in the game, ends up with 8 shots, plus 5, had a massive hit, 2 block shots, played 29 minutes and 25 seconds. Like a dominant performance. Bobby Orr did it 3 times. You've had Sprague Claiborne did it once. Cleghorn did it once way back in 1922 when each team used to dress 8 skaters. So I'm not even sure it was 5-on-5 back then, to be honest. Also, you had Doug Crossman doing it. He was the most recent defender to do it in 1922, which is 1992 is when he did it, and Tom Bladen in 1977. So you hadn't seen it in 34 seasons until Bouchard did it last night. And even if you just look at forwards in order history, obviously Gretzky did it. Sam Gagner had 1 game like it. Connor McDavid's had 1 game in his career where he had 3 and 3. So it's really hard to do. Really hard to do. So we'll talk about that a little bit throughout the show today. Also, we'll hear from the Duck side of things as the Ducks come in winners of 7 in a row. And this might be the most surprising 7-game win streak of any team in the league. Not because it's the Ducks, but because Troy Terry, he got injured. He hasn't played any of these games. Leo Carlson, those are their 2 top scoring forwards, point-to-game guys. Leo Carlson got injured in his last game against Buffalo. The next game is when they started their 7-game winning streak. It's amazing. Also, Mason McTavish, not in the lineup. Frank Vetrano, 4 of your top forwards. Well, Vetrano hasn't been the top forward this year, but 3 of your top 5 forwards. Right? That's like saying, okay, one of McDavid and Draisaitl out, Hyman's out, Nugent Hopkins out. You think the Oilers are going to win 7 in a row? Hell, they can't win 3 in a row with them in the lineup. Never mind 7. Lucas Dostal's been great. The 1 game that Husso played was the second half of a back-to-back. He didn't face a high-danger chance the whole night. Now, granted, it's against the Kings, who are very much kind of like a BB gun offense right now. But give the Ducks credit, man. They played very well. But, and it's a big but, this is a game, the Edmonton Oilers, outside of the St. Louis game, they really haven't dominated home ice yet in this road trip. They played well. They were the better team against Washington, but they barely got out alive. They were awful against Pittsburgh, and they sleptwalked for 40 minutes against New Jersey. Like, this is a game, the Ducks are playing 3rd game in 4 nights, second half of a back-to-back. Backup goaltender. 4 of their top 9 forwards out of the lineup. You got to win this game. Plain and simple, you got to win this game, and I would think you got to control it. So we'll talk about all that. Woodley will be by, Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM, Cam Tate, Emerson Edom, former NHLer, Anaheim Duck analyst will be by. We'll hear from Speck. Also, Farhan Lalji will be by to talk a little NFL and some CFL. Because we're getting near the end of January. Some bonuses are up. So expect some players. Hello, Trey Ford, who will be released from their team. this week. So that will be coming, no doubt. As we welcome in Sean Brown to the show. Sean, how you doing, buddy?
Good to be back.
Now, did you ever have a hat trick in your minor hockey career? In your minor hockey?
Good. I'm glad you went that far back.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I never had. You know what? I'm trying to think back to minor hockey. It was pretty good. Put up some points, but no, I never put up a hat trick. Never put up obviously a hat trick in junior or in the American League and obviously pro. But I have had 2 goals and probably wish that a part of me probably wished looking back that I probably wanted to push it a little bit more to try and get, because it is special,
dude,
right?
It's totally special.
It is special, but when you're in it, you're kind of, that wasn't a big part of my game, so it wasn't something that I really, really looked for. But I did have a couple opportunities where I did have a couple goals.
I look at like the fact that Evan Bouchard, who's a very offensive-minded defenseman, never had a hat trick in minor hockey, junior, anywhere until that game. And I was like, because I remember asking, so when was the last time he had a hat trick? And he's like, I didn't have one. I was just like, what? Like, it blew me away. And so it's a big deal, like a 6-point game like that. And Bouchard was great in every facet of the game. He had a big hit. He blocked shots. He's on the penalty kill. He's running the power. He kept the puck in at the blue line. Otherwise, they probably lose that game, right? Like, he made so many big plays in that game. Like, that was a very special game to see a player. And I think Bouchard at times gets overlooked just how good he is because he's on the same team as McDavid and Draisaitl. And I understand that those guys are pretty darn good. But I find we're in a little bit of the highlight era where people will see Evan Bouchard had a giveaway, but they don't show all the good plays he makes in the game. And I've been arguing with people about that. I'm like, man, you look. And so last game, there's nothing. But there's still people like, oh, yeah, but he had a giveaway in November. Like, you're an idiot if that's your comment. Like, Bouchard, that is as dominant as a game as any Oiler, including McDavid. McDavid's only had a game where he had 3 and 3 and 6 once in his career, right? And didn't play 29 minutes, didn't have 8 shots on goal, wasn't killing penalties. Like, that was a dominant performance from Bouchard.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just he's special to watch, and everyone's got the but you know what? He does things that a lot of guys can't do. But the biggest skill and what I see that separates him from a lot of the other players is when he does make a mistake. Most guys, more or less, right, it affects them mentally, right? It affects their game. They look to change how they play, and they obviously lose a little bit of confidence. And I think that's what makes those great players so great, is they don't let certain things affect them as much as maybe others do. And one of the hardest plays in hockey is to go back on a puck with pressure and hit the centerman in the middle of the ice, and he does that very well. He makes plays out of nothing, and people probably don't understand, if you haven't played that position or been in that type of a scenario, how hard it is to make those plays. Because when you make it, it's great. And the Oilers, they look good. They come out fast. They come out with control. But when you don't make that play, more often than not, obviously it's a turnover and it's in the middle of the ice, and it never usually ends up well. So, I mean, I love his calmness. I love his composure. Always been a big fan of him. Unfortunately for him, it's just when he does make that mistake, his biggest skill set is also something that kind of works against him, is his casualness, I guess. And, and so that gets him in a little bit of trouble, because when he makes that mistake, it's quite often ends up in the back of the net, and it looks really bad. But there's no denying that, he's a special player, belongs in a special group. And you can hear it when in the interviews, when you talk to Connor McDavid or Draisaitl or his teammates. Anyone that's played the game really appreciates being on the ice with guys like that. And I quite find myself having conversations with, fans and people that maybe haven't played the game, that are a little bit more critical of them. And they kind of get down on them, and they expect you in the same conversation to maybe pile on. And you're like, hey, no, I completely disagree. You don't understand what it's like to make plays under pressure, and how hard that is. And there's only so very few guys that can do that. And he consistently does it. So I think we're watching something special. I think it's, you look back and, you look at the names, Paul Coffey, Bobby Orr, and, especially for Bobby Orr, when, you talk to your parents and grandparents and you hear the stories about, how great these guys are. And they're kind of, as a young player, you kind of, because you didn't grow up watching them, you have this idea of how big and how good they are, we are watching a guy that's breaking Bobby Orr's records, like tying them and just putting up numbers. And I think these guys are so special. And I think it's going to be nice to look back when these guys are done and think we watched some of the most special players to play in today's game.
Yeah, it was a special game to watch. And hey, the Oilers needed it because, man, you lose that game, fans, they mean getting ripped apart as they should have been. I don't care. Wow, we played well. You would have lost the game, right? They needed that. They needed Bouchard to be a hero. Otherwise, you lose that game.
But what about when, like, I watched a lot. I was kind of watching back and forth, and I was at a friend's house, so I was watching his son's BCHL game. But as we were flipping back and forth, it like just watching Draisaitl, watching McDavid and Bouchard. Those elite players at the end of a game, or when the game counts the most, that they make the play. They make the plays that, put your team in a position to win. And does it not seem to me when you're watching the game, like the energy and the tenacity and the playmaking ability that they play with at the end, like could you not feel that coming? I felt like I was like, man, it's just a matter of time before they score here. Like McDavid's motor is at an unbelievable. I don't know who the defenseman was, but he was in front of the net. They were all on there for, a length of time. So they were tired and he was almost bent over. McDavid was like, does that guy get those elite guys? They don't get tired.
Yeah. Well, he's light on his feet, right? Like there are certain guys that are heavy skaters. You know what I mean? Like you have to use more energy to skate. He's not, but his cardio, and I've seen the numbers a few years ago when they did their off ice testing. It's not a surprise that McDavid's at the top.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Like I think people think greatness is just, he's got this great ability. No. Like his desire and will is why he can play 2 minutes. And guess what? Other guys simply can't.
Yeah.
Because they can't now. Maybe they don't have the lung capacity. Some people do have larger lungs, so you can have a better endurance. That's a fact. That's proven in different athletes for sure. But he maximizes it. And he just I'm sure there's time where he's tired. But ask runners, when you push through that part to keep going, he's able to do it.
He's so special. And I've worked with a lot of kids, and that's the biggest separator, right? It's a gift. To me, I think it's a gift, right? But the top high-end players, they don't tire out, right? Where you get a guy like me or certain guys on the ice, it's like you're breathing through a straw, right? There's just not enough oxygen in the building, right? And just, just watching that, I just could not get over the strength that he has, the endurance that he's got guys draped all over him, right? And he's coming out of the corner with a guy hanging on his back. He's making plays. He's exhausted. Very special. And that's what Draisaitl does. That's what McDavid does. And that's what Bouchard, those guys at big moments make big plays, whether it's keeping it in. I mean, ask, Quentin Byfield from LA last year when in the playoffs there, when he kept that puck in the blue line, right? I mean, he doesn't keep that in. Series is over. He keeps it in. They go to another Stanley Cup final, right?
100%.
They make a lot of money because they make the right play at the right time.
Yeah, it's true. And like he stays even keel at all times. And that to me is maybe his greatest asset. And I think people don't understand. And you played, Brownie. When you get into high pressure situations, you can't breathe quicker, right? You shouldn't. You can, of course, but if you do, that ends up leading to more mistake. Bouchard, when the play or the game becomes more important, he actually gets better because he's calm all year. And I think his calmness, sometimes people confuse it to mean he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, look at Bouchard. He had a turnover. He wasn't slamming his stick and swearing because somehow that means you care more. Right. He just scored his first NHL hat trick. He barely celebrated because that's who Bouchard is. Like, he just doesn't get overly crazy excited, whether it's good or bad. And so people have to recognize that's a real strength to be able, because most of us, ask any parent, try to keep your calm when your kid does something wrong and annoys you. And we all know we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And you're all of a sudden, you're seeing red, you're on tilt, and you're just like, now there are some people that can be very calm. Right. And you do get that normally. That's why they talk about grandparents. Well, my parents were never this calm when I was a kid. Well, yeah, because now they're 40 years older, right? They're 75 and they're just like happy to be alive, right? And they're just like, oh, you get little Johnny spilled his plate. Ha ha ha. Right.
Yeah. So, your problem.
Yeah. But it's true. And Bouchard has that innate ability to just remain. Watch how many times, and I don't think people appreciate, watch how many times Bouchard toe drags or walks guys at the blue line in the off, and people are like, oh my God, oh, that's so risky. No, he believes in himself. He can do it. He doesn't get scared. He doesn't worry about it. And 1 out of 100 might be a turnover and everybody freaks out, but they all forget the other 99 times where he made a play that like a 1% of the guys in the league could make.
But I'm telling you, the real skill is that toe drag when it didn't work. Can you still do it?
Yes.
He does that.
Yes.
I mean, you listen to his interviews, you interview him after the game, and you guys, puts up a record number of points, and he's in the conversation of the elite of the elite. And you would think that he just played an average game. Like, he just seems to be a very even keel, not too high, not too low. But that's a separator for me. I played the game. I know what it's like to make mistakes. I know what it's like to get down on myself. I know what it's like to look at the coach after each whistle and think, are you pulling me off? Am I getting back out there? That guy has none of that in his game. That belief, the self-belief that he has, that internal confidence. And that's the difference, right? I mean, some kids, you look at, you talked about it when, banging your stick and swearing. Well, does that mean that you care more than the guy that's just calm, cool, and collective? Absolutely not, right? I mean, that's a skill, not to show your emotion. And it's crazy to me because that's one thing that I really recognize and appreciate because it was something that I struggled with. Right.
Well, most people do.
And that's the difference between being an NHL player, being a major junior player, a AA, AAA, or just having a long career in general, is just your ability to get over mistakes, get over, if you want to have a long career, I tell kids, I mean, you can't, it's a game of mistakes. It's just how you react and what you do after it. And does that mistake turn into, a second mistake? And does it last, 1 period, 2 periods, 3 periods, right? Because the longer you can play this game, it means you have to be a consistent player that constantly performs.
Yeah. Quick break coming up on the program. Kevin Woodley is going to join us. I don't think we're going to see Lucas Dostal. Sounds like it's going to be Ville Husso, but Dostal's been unreal for the Ducks. Also a scar off some younger goalies coming in this week. And then who knows who you're going to get amongst the two in Minnesota. But we'll also talk about, Jari and Ingram. And I thought Ingram, and the coach did admit that he didn't realize till afterwards that third goal against Ingram went in off of Stastny. Like, I thought that was a pretty early pull for Ingram. And you know what? Maybe you get a boost or not. Like, yeah, sure, it worked, but I don't think Ingram was that bad in that game, to be honest, especially on that third goal. Like, it goes off a guy's skate and changes direction. What are you going to do? So we'll talk to Woodley about that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hear ye. Dragon fruit has returned to Booster Juice. Prepare thyself for the legendary alchemy of the Dragon Slayer smoothie, Pink Dragon Booster Mixer, and Dragon Booster Ball. Does the dragon taste like chicken? Nay, Booster Juice uses only delicious tropical dragon fruit. No dragons are harmed. Get thee to Booster Juice before dragon fruit vanishes once more.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
New Year's resolutions. We all make them. We all say we're going to start eating healthier or going to the gym or starting that new hobby. But at GS Construction, we actually follow through on our New Year's resolution because it's the same every year. We promise to set the groundwork, literally, for another year of progress and growth. And we've stuck by that resolution since 1974. So start that all-you-can-eat diet. GS Construction is going to start planning right now for the year ahead. For more on what we do, visit gsconstruction.ca.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis, they're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
.225, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Twitch. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, brought to you by playalberta.ca. Oilers a pretty big favorite tonight on home ice. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. They have not made life easy for themselves so far in the 4-game road trip. They are 2-2 at home. Sorry, home trip, not road trip, but home stand. They're 2-2. They got the Ducks tonight. Then get 2 days off, and they play the Sharks Thursday, the Wild on Saturday, and then they have the Toronto Maple Leafs the following Tuesday. So they'll have lots of rest. The Oilers should be gung ho, right? They play tonight, then 2 days they play the Sharks, then day off, play Mini, then 2 days off, play Toronto. So like at some point you got to get on a winning streak. Doesn't set up much easier than this. So we'll see. I'm not going to say they're going to win the next 4 because that means they'd win 5 in a row. They've yet to win 3 in a row. But dare to dream, Oiler fans, eventually they will win 3 in a row. I don't know when. Maybe this week. Like, this might not be the better chance. You got the Ducks and then you got the Sharks. You beat the Sharks for fun. You'll have 2-day break. Like, come on. At some point, you got to get it done. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text us. We're going to get to Kevin Woodley right now as we get to Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. The $5 McValue meal, they're here. Enjoy options like a sausage McMuffin small meal, the McDouble small meal for only $5 plus tax at participating McDonald's. Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us as he always does on Monday afternoons. Woodley, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. Midst of an 8-game homestand. Like, as you guys wonder when the Oilers are going to win 3 in a row, we start to wonder here in Vancouver if they've got 3 wins left in them for the season. It's one in the last 14. It's tough sledding.
Yeah, they don't want to win. Like, I know the players want to win, but realistically, they want to tank. And they're right in there. And you know what? I've always said this. It's hard to ask players to lose, but management can help it if you trade them away or you get lucky. And the Canucks are starting to get more lucky because I see more injuries coming up. Like when the Oilers finished dead last the first time in 2010, Habib Bulin hurt, Surrey hurt, Horkoff hurt. Like all your best forward, your best centerman, your best defenseman, your best goalie all out. Guess what? Then you can tank. And Vancouver, obviously they're not playing very well, but even if they thought about playing well, they've traded away Kiefer Sherwood, and now they got Brock Besser out. and one of the defensemen whose name's escaping me right now. So the injuries are piling up at the right time for a team that wants to finish near the bottom.
Yeah, Z Booyam's out as well. Took a puck in the face last night. Finished the game wearing a bubble, but saw him sort of out, talking to somebody out sort of outside the locker room post game as I was coming back from the Penguins room, and I was pretty much swollen shut. So I don't think we'll see him for, there was a report, I think Darren Dreger said at least a week. Besser takes that Brian Rust elbow in the head at the final buzzer. You talk about goaltending. It's been over 2 weeks now since Thatcher Demko left the game in Toronto with a lower body injury. Still no update, but some thoughts that we're going to get one. Well, there's originally thoughts as early as today. Certainly the hope is we'll get an update this week, and some talk. I don't know. I don't have any sort of inside details, not reporting it, but there's certainly some talk around the media and some reporting here that they may shut him down for the season and there might be a surgery involved, although we've still yet to hear the specifics of the injury. All I know is that, the month he missed earlier was evidently a groin injury. And when you start to get into repeat groin injuries, you start to wonder about, again, got to be careful here, not reporting, but certainly have seen a ton of times in the past where recurring groin injuries for goaltenders turn out to be hips.
Okay. So, well, they always say, Kev, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone and everything's connected. So I could see it if you already have all those things and you would know the position. We're probably not going to see him tonight, but Lucas Dostal has been really good for the Anaheim Ducks, Kev. I don't know how deep you've dug into his numbers, but should he be in the Vezina conversation?
On the season as a whole, honestly, Jason, no.
Okay.
And I'm the goalie defender, and you won't find many bigger fans of Lucas Dostal's game than me. Like the way he holds his edges, the patience. I think he is like he's one of the prototypes, right? Like I look at a Dustin Wolf and the way he does that as the game becomes increasingly dynamic in front of goaltenders. That ability to sort of hold edges, not commit to your knees, maintain patience that allows you to have some movement east-west as the game becomes so east-west. Like he's a poster child for that. He's an exceptional goaltender. I think that, I wouldn't want to run into him in the medal round at the Olympics. Let's put it that way. We've seen him, Oilers fans know this well. Like we've seen him absolutely steal games. And he's been doing that lately. And he did it at the start of the year. The thing that sort of keeps him out of, Vezina conversations for me, unless the second half looks a lot like the last couple of weeks, has been a lack of consistency. There was a stretch there where, for a long period, he was below expected. He's hovering just slightly above it. Like his adjusted numbers are 35th in the league right now. So I think in Dostal, what you're seeing is the upside is there. And on any given night, he can single-handedly win this team a game. A team that, when I look at their defensive metrics, especially off the rush, high danger chances against 5-on-5, 22nd overall, on the PK 10th, but against the rush. And that's where we see the odd man stuff, the free goals, so to speak, 31st. Like that's something they just, that's where you're asking your goalie to bail you out on a regular basis, and he has been. But overall, there's been some inconsistency, and the numbers just don't sort of put him in the top part of the league for a Vezina conversation, even if on any given night he can look like the best goaltender in the world. I think that's the only thing missing for him right now is consistency.
Okay.
Kevin, Allmark in Ottawa was backing up the Vegas game there. What have you heard, and how close is he to coming back, and how important is it that he does come back?
Yeah, I think obviously it's important that he does come back, and just given what we saw around that situation, and that sit down that he did with Claire Hanna, and if you guys have saw it, how sort of heart-wrenching that was. I've got a chance to know Linus, both as a goalie and as a person over the years. He's been kind and generous with his time with us over at InGoal. And so as soon as he was out with personal reasons, we sort of left it at that and said, let's just hope that when he's back, he's in the right frame of mind for himself, for his family. And that's your biggest hope. The way things have gone for the Senators, and I've been open about this, like you're not going to, I'm the guy who defends goalies. And yet when I look at their numbers, they are a really good defensive team, and they're just not getting saves. And Reimer stabilized it a little bit. And I do think he can give you the kind of minutes they need with a little time to settle in. His first couple starts were really good. I know there was a tough comeback one against Nashville. I didn't look at the metrics on that one, but They're a team that just needs to be able to find some confidence in their goaltending so that they can keep playing the way they're playing defensively and not open it up. So I think a combination, because Miralainen obviously lost a ton of confidence this year. He was great last year, thrust into a bigger role. He wasn't able to hold water this year. So even when Allmark comes back, I think having Reimer there is important. I know it was Mads Sogard in net the other night in a 7-1 win, but I think that's a sort of steady veteran combination that hopefully will be enough for a team that we know has the firepower at the other end. But frankly, I think because of the goaltending hasn't got enough credit for how good they've been overall defensively this year for Travis Green. And they just need the goalies to sort of do their job behind that, frankly.
Yeah, well, it's a great point. And so maybe it's too little too late. We'll see. That was a dominant performance yesterday against Vegas. No question. And so who knows? You don't need them they don't need their goalies to steal games. They just need the goalies not to lose them games. And their goalies have lost them games more than the defensive structure has lost them games this year.
Yeah, and that's it. The defensive metrics are all really good overall, but also sort of in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
It's like they've gotten better defensively. Now, I will say this, they're still prone to the big mistakes, and that's where every team does to a certain degree. It's funny, I went back and looked at a story that I did for NHL.com in 2018, which doesn't seem that long ago, but I guess it is 8 years. And it was talking to goalies around the league about highlight reel saves and ending up on highlight reel packages. And the goalies all said, we don't want that. Usually if you're diving headfirst across the crease, it means you made a bad read or a big mistake. And there were a ton of big voices in that story that I did, like Tuukka Rask and Roberto Luongo and guys are in or headed to the Hall of Fame. And here we are 8 years later, and I'm asking the same question. I talk about Carolina's one, right? Where they don't give up a ton, but when they give it up, it's grade A+. There's a little bit of that in Ottawa. The underlying metrics overall, they don't give up volume, but when they do, it tends to be a breakdown, requires an athletic save. And that's sort of the difference in the game. As a goalie, you need to expect that. You need to make those. That's what's changed. And when I'm talking to goalies to sort of follow up that story right now from 8 years ago, and they're all that's just part of the job now. It doesn't mean we've made a mistake. Something happens in front of us, no matter how prepared, no matter how accurate we are in our read, there's just going to be moments as dynamic as the game has got it, as much as teams are trying to go east-west and open us up, where you're going to have to throw caution. You're going to have to dive headfirst. Skinner made one at the buzzer last night or in the final minute against Besser off a rebound, wide open net. It looked like Marc-Andre Fleury's cup-winning save from 2007, right? And he talked to him about it after. He's like, it was just a little too far for me to get there in structure. So I knew I had to dive. And another story I wrote for NHL.com last week for the goalie column, the idea that in those moments, you guys keep an eye on this one, in those moments as we see them increasing where a guy's got a wide open empty net, nobody picks corners, man. It's always into the middle. So it's a rule of thumb for goalies in those desperate situations. And me and Skinner talked about that the day before, ironically. Get something to the center mass middle of the net, because there's a good chance when a guy looks at an awning cage, that's where he's shooting.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins us. You mentioned Skinner. Now he had stretches in Edmonton the whole 24 regular season under Knobloch where he was pretty good. But his numbers here in the last month in Pittsburgh have been exceptional. How much is it him? How much is it the defensive structure?
I don't think it's the defensive structure. Now, obviously, last night against Vancouver, they didn't give up a ton. But when I look at, his numbers and how much of that is him and how much of that is environment, don't forget, he lost his first 3 starts, and obviously one was against Edmonton, and that got a lot of attention. But since then, I think it's 7 of 8, save percentage well into the 930s. But his expected save percentage in that time from the trade on, so including the first 3 losses, is actually 874, Jason, which is well below league average. He's outperforming it by almost 2.5 goals for every 100 shots, almost 2.5%. The only guys better than him in the NHL in that stretch, and we're only talking about a little over a month, but still not a tiny sample. And like I said, I'm including the first 3 losses in there. The only guys that have been better than him in that stretch is John Gibson and Ilya Sorokin. Again, I'll add the caveat amongst guys that have seen at least a couple hundred chances. So, the guys who are starters and playing at least half their team's games. It's Gibson, Sorokin, Skinner, Jake Allen, and Igor Shesterkin, and then Connor Ingram in 6th spot. So he's been really good. And there were still moments, in the dying seconds of that game against the Canucks last night, he's on his stomach. There was a rebound chance. He made a couple great saves off Pettersson. And in the first goal, Jake DeBrusk was able to come around behind the net and bank it from a sharp angle off a defenseman, but he was prone. But there's fewer of those moments in the games that I'm watching. And I did a little homework on him coming into that game against Vancouver, and for an extended conversation that I had with him going into the game after the practice day on Saturday. And, he just feels like his game was building in Edmonton and that it was just starting to turn a corner, and it just was feeling really good when he got traded. And after getting over sort of the emotions and the shock of everything that comes with being traded and getting comfortable in Pittsburgh, like, he feels really good about where his game's at. There's still things he's working on. But what I like for him is, this is a chance for him to show that some of the results are him, because I think in Edmonton it was always about the team and they just needed a goalie not to blow games. And to a certain degree, that was true. But in Pittsburgh, he's being asked last night for sure. He's being asked to do a lot more. I know the two previous starts were easier defensive environments. Last night was not. And on the whole, an 874 expected tells me this has been him largely, not just the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Kevin, what do you think? Like, obviously, Connor Ingram has been playing very well. It looks like he got pulled on a goal that probably was not his fault. We've seen situations in New Jersey where guys get left in for 6 or 7 goals. Like, from a goalie's point of view and a goalie coach, like, what are you working on at that point? Are you focusing in on some of the details and structure of their game, or is it more of a mental approach that you take from a goaltending coach's perspective?
I'd be curious to the decision-making process behind that pull and how quick it was. And I don't know if they've discussed it, guys. I didn't see the post-game audio. I don't know if they pulled him before they realized that went off, because it looked terrible. But once you see it goes off the defenseman's leg, it's like, hey, was it that bad?
Chris Knobloch admitted after the game that he goes, I didn't know until afterwards that it went in off a leg. It looked, because you're right, it didn't look good. And Ingram's reaction initially made it look like he thought he just missed it. Right. And because he's not a guy who would ever blame anybody else. And so I think that was part of it. The coach was, he admitted it was, in hindsight, it was probably a little bit quicker of a pull, because it made it look like he was blaming Ingram, and obviously it wasn't his fault.
And so, you know what I love about that? The admission.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I like, hey, let's have an honest conversation about it. I jumped the gun on that. And it's in the moment, right? You make decisions in the moment. Sometimes they pull goalies just to get a boost out of the team. Things aren't going well. All 3 goals on that game were off the rush, right? Like, good save on the first one, or if it hit a body I didn't see, but ends up with a guy wide open on a tap in on the end. Justin Sordiff, the goal off the rush there, I think that's a hat tipper. Like, as a goalie, like, he never looked at the net, passed the whole time, and then he rips his short side shelf. I don't think Ingram came, like, there's a case where I don't even think he came off the puck. Like, he didn't necessarily cheat, maybe a little deep, but I don't see Connor as an aggressive goalie positionally. And he just got beat. And he got beat by a guy that wasn't looking where he was shooting, and he made a hell of a shot. And it's a tough play to read off the blade from that distance. And then the third one goes off a leg. So, like, understand that we talked about this when he was in the American League. There will be moments like this for a goalie that relies on anticipation and reads. Like, it is a fine line between a read and a cheat. And you might be able to argue that as that pass goes across and hits the knee, is he leaving a little early on the pass from that range, and how hard it was passed? Like, how quickly it went off the knee and in. To me, that's a hard one to stay on. Like, that's the fine line for him. He needs to be anticipating and getting across on a rush if he has a chance to get to where that pass was intended to be on the other side of the rush chance. And so I don't know that you change much, Sean. Like, I think you have a conversation about it and make sure that his balance hasn't shifted from anticipation to cheat. And as long as he's telling you, this is what I saw and I was comfortable with this, and hey, we just got a bad bounce. Like, I think that's just an ongoing dialogue. And I think the fact that the head coach is a part of it and there's an honest openness there, not just blaming the guy. Like, I love that. And I'm willing to bet that Peter Aubrey is having those conversations behind the scene, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And if we start to cross that line between anticipation and cheating, that, then we reel it in. But I don't know that you have to change much after a game like that, despite getting yanked in it. I posted on Twitter right before we came on air, because I was looking into the numbers and I went looking back over each goal because I was out that night. Like, that was fire wagon hockey. Like, that was like straight out of the 80s or an all-star game. 20 high danger chances for the Oilers. Charlie Lindgren came out of that game on a positive. positive goals saved above expected. And at the other end, Washington had 14 high dangers and 5.17 expected goals. That was wide open. Fun. Looked like it was fun. Maybe not for the goalies, but for everyone else, it looked like a fun game to watch.
So he allowed 6 goals at Lindgren and still came out with a goal saved above expected.
Yeah, positive. I like I said, I posted it on Twitter and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I believe it was like almost 6.5 expected goals that the Oilers generated in that game. 20 high danger chances. And because I looked it up sort of prepping for our show, I didn't have time to sort of send a note to Clearside Analytics and ask, like, what's the most we've ever had? But I'll be honest, like top of my head, the games I've looked up individually, I don't ever remember seeing 20 high danger chances in a game.
Yeah. No, that is wild that you have that. And he still came away with, the expected goals was 6.47 and goals scored was 6. So, you don't see expected goals at 6.47 very often. And they scored 6, which is wild. One last one for you, Kev, as we look around the team, the San Jose Sharks are coming to town. If you just look at Askarov's numbers, like they're winning because they can score a lot of goals, but the Sharks still give up a ton, don't they? How's Askarov handling being in his shooting gallery?
Really well at the beginning of the season. Numbers have kind of dropped of late for him, and Alex Nedeljkovic has kind of picked up where Askarov has dropped off. But when we talk about environments, you're absolutely right. And even offensively, Jason, like it's the Celebrini show. Because overall, as a team, like they're scoring, like their 5-on-5 chance creation is 30th in the NHL for high danger, 32nd offensive zone, 20th off the rush, 9th on the power play. So power play and rush is where they thrive. The rest is near the bottom of the league. Defensively, high danger chances against 5-on-5, 31st. D zone, 31st. Rush, 25th. The only thing they seem to do well is kill penalties. So they lean heavily on their goaltending. And Askarov, after a really good start, has come back down to earth. Like over the last month and a half, he's near the bottom of the league in adjusted save percentage after such a hot start. And over the same period, Alex Nedeljkovic has really picked up. On the season as a whole, Askarov's down at almost a full minus 0.7%. So that's not huge below expected. It's less than a goal every 100 chances, but you're still on the wrong side of expected. Ned, after a tough start, has climbed up above. So as much as the assumption is that this is the Askarov show, the reality is it's been Alex Nedeljkovic that's been the better goaltender for the last month and a half by a pretty clear-cut margin. And it puts the Sharks in a bit of a tough spot because they're still competing for a playoff spot. Their underlying numbers don't say they should be, but with Celebrini leading the way at the other end, they need somebody to steal wins behind them. And right now, the guy that gives them the best chance to do that is Alex Nedeljkovic. And yet you need to also keep an eye on the future and get Yaroslav Askarov, minutes and a chance to grow and learn in a tough environment.
Kev, as always, great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next month.
Have a good one, guys.
There you go. That's Kevin Woodley from InGoal Magazine and NHL.com. 20 high danger chances. Well, if you watch the game, you're probably like, whoa, there's a lot going on in that game. And there was. And hey, it's not like the Oilers were great defensively. They gave up 14. So 34 high danger chances between the two teams. Fire wagon hockey, shall we say. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to the Oil Report. We're going to hear from Chris Knobloch and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Oodle Noodle Origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the New World. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle. You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Hey, Edmonton. Did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpot's Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
You matter. Your mental health matters, and you're braver than you think. Not Alone is an organization focused on creating a space of acceptance and support through tough, meaningful conversation. My name is Tyler Smith, and you are never alone. NotAloneCo.com. It's okay to not be okay.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League sports season is now underway. The JPHL offers elite athletic and academic opportunities for players in the 14U, 15U, 17U, and 18U divisions. All games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV, featuring a showcase-style schedule and competitive matchups across Western Canada. Players work with experienced coaches, trainers, and elite hockey personnel. Learn more about Western Canada's fastest-growing elite hockey development stream at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Do you sit around at work listening to sports radio all day? That's right, my friend. There's no shame in it. It's the good life. And we're not here to snitch. Say, if your company advertised on Sports 1440, you could be the one listening for your company's ad every day. Now you've got an excuse to listen to Sports 1440 all day. It's part of the job. Sounds like someone's getting a promotion. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca and let's get to work for you.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.251. Welcome back. It is game day, Oilers and the Ducks. Tonight, brace yourselves. The game is on Prime. So maybe you have it, maybe you don't. If you don't, you want to get to OTR or first round, you can check out the game. Some friends remember a little bit earlier start, puck drop around 6:45-ish. Tonight, Josh Szymanski will be in the lineup for his NHL debut for the Oilers. Also, Kasperi Kapanen draws back in. Ike Howard has been sent to Bakersfield. Him and Szymanski swap spots, and Andrew Mangiapane will come out of the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. Will he get back in is the question. But, if there's not an injury, we'll see. So, Szymanski likely centering the third line with Roslovic and Savoy. Kapanen back with Draisaitl, Podkolzin. McDavid's line with Hyman Nuge stays together. And I would guess the Lazar-Yan, Mark Frederick line stays together. We'll see. There was no skate. There was a little bit of an optional, but we'll find out the official lines later on today. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by Go Auto. If you're looking for a vehicle, no better place to look. Because you want options. Well, they got options. 31 new vehicle brands, 76 locations, and over 15,000 vehicles at goauto.ca. You want it? They got it. I have been driving the Jeep Cherokee for the last few months. I have to say, become a huge fan of it. I just quickly drove my wife's vehicle because my son was at, I just needed to take him to an outdoor rink. I didn't know where it was, and her car was outside, so I just jumped in and took it. And I got home. I'm like, no, I think I really like the Jerry. A lot heavier, bigger, not sliding anywhere. So if you've never tried one, check it out. It's pretty good. The Oilers we'll hear from head coach, first of all, Chris Knobloch, and getting Kapanen back in and how this is a big addition he feels for his team.
He's made a huge difference when he's been in the lineup. And anytime he's not been with us, we've always been wanting him in and what he could do for our team. But he adds a lot of, he's tenacious. He's hard on the forecheck. He's skilled that he can make some plays. He's been scoring goals. And he also can kill penalties. So, I think we just need a little more of that, a little more urgency, speed, and, being able to make plays. And Cappy's been doing that. He's been very consistent player this year.
He has been good.
He's exactly what the Oilers need. If he can play with that type of consistency, I mean, he's gonna find himself with a new contract and playing for quite a while. Is he not a first-round pick? Like, he's got everything you would ever want, right? He's got the size, he's got the shot, the physicality. I think it's just the consistency, doing it, season or game after game, and really asserting himself. But he's been nothing but great, and exactly, he's taken his game to a whole new level, and it'll be good to have him back there. And I'm excited to see this Josh Szymanski. I mean, he's another player of what they need. I really think the third and fourth line are, you need some size and a little bit of grit. So he's got a real opportunity, a young kid, that if he can play with some energy. And I think when he can play with that type of energy, that type of enthusiasm, create a little bit of a buzz, it's not only going to help him, but it's going to help his line mates, and it's going to help with that energy that they desperately need in that lineup right now.
Yeah, no question about it. And he had speed. He gets a lot of speed. It was asked about the current defense configuration as far as he's playing Stastny on his offside. What numbers has he seen from Stastny? Is that something that's going to continue, or do you think they'll see him back on the left side?
Yeah, we've had to, it's not ideal to put in defensemen left side, right side, moving them back and forth. And even with Wallman, we don't want to be moving him around too much, but trying to find out what's best for our group. And, a couple days ago, I was answering a question about one of our forwards moving around. And, it's not ideal moving those guys around, but we have to think about what's best for our team and look in the big picture. And, those guys have to be flexible on being able to adjust. And right now, we're going to try that pair, but we're not set on anything right now. I think we're still have a little bit of time, and I think we can go either way. And of course, there's going to be some flexibility, or has to be some flexibility on line matchups, and also probably more importantly, in time of the game, are we pressing for a goal or we have a lead? So I think those are things to consider.
And lastly, he was asked about the process of recalling a guy like Szymanski. How much input does he have? What goes through it? Ultimately, it leads to Szymanski playing his first game tonight.
Well, a lot of things. We know how the players are, how they're playing down there, and have a kind of a vision there. Obviously, I get reports from Stan and the coaching staff in Bakersfield. But usually starts with Stan and I talking about the team and who's playing well and where we want to go forward. And I kind of have a vision of what kind of player that I would like for our team if we're going to make a change. And then, he talks to Keith Gretzky, and Keith would give him an update on who's playing really well and this guy deserves it, or this guy's maybe he's hurt or not quite ready. And then there's that communication. Then we kind of try and make the best decision, bringing the right guy up.
And Szymanski comes up, very different player than Isaac Howard. They play different position. Ike Howard is here. He's going to be a guy who's producing points. And, that's not really much else you're going to get from him. He's not physical. He's not a defensive player. And that's fine. That's what he is. Szymanski, very different. Big center iceman, more of a passer than a shooter. can kill penalties if need be. I don't expect him to kill penalties here. And, bigger body, better defensively. What is your expectations? He's going to start on a line, we think anyway, with Roslovic and Savoy.
Well, I expect him to play with just some real simplicity to his game. I don't see him trying to overcomplicate it. I wouldn't suggest that you do overcomplicate it, but I do think that, being young and that energy and enthusiasm and excitement that he's going to come in with is just, right, get your feet moving, get pucks in, and hit,
Yeah.
finish your check, right? Every chance you get an opportunity, finish your check and get to the front of the net. And when you get to the front of the net, hang around in front of the net, be uncomfortable, right? Maybe create some scrums, create some energy. I'm not talking about fighting or anything like that, but get comfortable in those hard areas. And if he can get comfortable in those hard areas, right, he's going to create some confidence in himself. He's going to create some confidence in his coach. And then understand, you're young, but watch the game, right? What does the shift need that, what does the team need? What does that shift need in that moment, right? Are you coming on after a goal? Are you coming on the ice after, you've given up a goal? Or have they had you hemmed in your zone a little bit? Do they have a little bit of momentum, right? So just that maturity and that understanding of what that next shift really needs is probably the conversations that I would probably have with them.
Let's take a quick break. And when we return, we will continue talking hockey. Also, we're going to talk a little football. The Super Bowl 60 is set. The Seahawks and the Patriots. Lots of different players, but who do we like? We'll get into that. Also, dive in a little bit more on Szymanski. Also, we are going to dive in a little bit more on Evan Bouchard's game on Saturday night, because I don't think a game like that should be a 2-minute conversation. It was a very special game by a player who dominated in every facet of the game. It was wild to see. And he played 29 minutes, which I crunched some other numbers. And it's funny, we always hear how the Oilers, they play McDavid too much. Okay. I'm not sure I really agree with it, because Brownie just outlined, the guy's motor, he can play lots, he never gets tired. But it's funny, there is another player in the league that's on a totally different level when it comes to time on ice, and no one ever talks about it. So we'll get to that. But first, let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. More than just tires. Of course, fix your tire. Hey, you want some rims? They can give you good rims. But if you're looking for oil change, wheel repair, vehicle repair, they do it all. FountainTire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day, Oilers hosting the Ducks down at Rogers Place. Puck drop 6:30. Pre-game coverage here on Sports 1440. It's going at 5:30. Elsewhere, you got the Mammoth and the Lightning. Rangers host the Bruins. Islanders in Philly. Jackets and Kings postponed due to March 9th due to weather in the area. In the association right now, Hornets crushing the 76ers 109-59 in the fourth quarter. Later on, you get the Magic and the Cavaliers. Trailblazers taking on the Celtics. Bulls, the Lakers, Timberwolves, and Warriors earlier today. Hawks stuff at the Pacers 132-116. And at the Scotties, Alberta knocking off Nunavut 9-2. You also Nova Scotia Black Ring over Newfoundland 9-1. PEI gets past New Brunswick 7-6, and Northern Ontario falls to Manitoba 9-2. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by TSN football reporter Farhan Lalji. We'll look around the NHL with Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
I skipped breakfast this morning. Stay out of my way.
Don't threaten me with your bad choices.
No worries. A booster bar from Booster Juice will fix me.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, because they're new. Snack-sized bars packed with seeds, pecans, gluten-free oats, all sorts of good stuff.
That sounds lovely, actually.
2 different flavors to try, too. Coconut pecan booster bars and harvest booster bars. Want to skip breakfast with me?
I take it back. You make good choices.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
When the ground freezes, you wonder how anything can get done. And instead of staying outside in temperatures that would make a polar bear cry, you head inside where it's toasty and warm. But that's not what GS Construction does, because while the ground freezes above, we plan below, rebuilding and revitalizing the systems that keep our communities working year after year. Now, don't worry. GS Construction promises to do everything safely and efficiently, and we'll wear our extra warm clothing outside. For more on what we do, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Cantork has turned 25. That's right, 25 years of building tools so good, they practically torque themselves. Hard work and innovation equals problem solved. See our latest designs at cantork.com.
Just think, Kevin Karius has been covering Edmonton sports since before TikTok, Twitter, texting, and the Titanic. We may have made that last one up. Kevin Karius in the mornings on Sports 1440. Your game, your station.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country. Vinny and Don in Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, register for a free shadow day. Beginner or experienced, this program develops a student athlete skill in a supportive environment. It's a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 3 through 12 to see what Vimy and Donnan have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsb.ca or donnan.epsb.ca for more info and to sign up.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Just after 3 o'clock on a game day on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Twitch. Wow, we're everywhere. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. We very much appreciate it. Always do a favor for Deck when you for watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it. It's very good. Always to see those numbers going up. That is fantastic stuff. We've got some really good shorts on there as well if you want to check them out. Oilers, of course, hosting the Anaheim Ducks, the red hot Anaheim Ducks, winners of 7 in a row, fresh off a victory last night. The rookie Beckett Seneca gets his first NHL hat trick last night as they win 4-3 in overtime. The Oilers coming off a hell of a game from Evan Bouchard, his first NHL hat trick, his first hat trick at any level of sports. That blows me away that Evan Bouchard never had a hat trick in minor hockey. Ever. And it just shows you, kids, hey, there's much more than goal scoring, especially for a defenseman. That's a nice added bonus. No question about it. But the passing and defending, he's on the penalty kill. He's playing 29 minutes. He actually had a really big hit, blocked 2 shots. Like, that was a game that's going to be very hard to match in the history. Actually, him and Bobby Orr are the only defenseman ever to have 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists, and 8 shots on goal in a game. Now, there's only 3 other D-men who've ever had 3 and 3 and 6 as well. So it's a pretty small number. Sean Brown, not on the list, right? Not on the list, Brownie. I don't know what
Gregor, you're definitely not on the list.
No, you're not. I'm not. But no, but you're on the. Brownie's just like Bouchard though. Now you guys got something in common. No hat tricks in minor hockey.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, that's as close as
I
I'll
was
get.
surprised by that. That might have been the most surprising part of the night.
For sure. I mean, you know what? I think anyone that's played the game, whether it's Strudwick or myself, we all grew up playing with a number of different hockey players, and a lot of guys, the story's the same as far as them not being the best player on their team, right? It's not always, for these young kids, and I'm not saying there's anything bad about being the best player, but, as long as you have the willingness to continue to develop in the passion and the drive, right? And the willingness just to, embrace the grind of the struggle to, reach your goals. I think that anything is probably possible. So, the fact that he hasn't scored a hat trick kind of surprises me, but in a way doesn't, because it's such a long journey that you don't really know. But I think scoring a hat trick, he's probably never played with a player like McDavid either in his life, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you play with those types of players, who knows, Gregor, maybe you and I would have had a chance to get a hat trick.
That's a stretch for me anyway. You maybe, but there's lots of guys playing with McDavid. They don't get hat tricks, so yeah, for sure. Now let's talk a little championship as we get to our NFL report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. As we are joined by Farhan Lalji from TSN. Farhan, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm excellent. The totally 2 different games. You had the Seahawks and the Rams, was just highly, highly entertaining game. And you had Denver and New England. The first half might have been one of the worst first halves of football that I've seen in a championship game, in a conference championship game in a long time. I know the snow came and probably but they played in the snow. It was hard. Give me a break. They were both brutal offensively up until that point. Like, I see no reason why the Seahawks shouldn't be spanking the Patriots in 2 weeks.
Well, look, I think when we get to these games and we get to this point, it doesn't generally turn out that way, right? I mean, I look at this game and I'm thinking, like, the Seahawks played in by far the best division in football.
Yes.
And when you get to that point, you kind of get through that, you should feel really good about yourselves. But we find this every year where there's always one good team on the other side, and they've got the ability to win. I think Mike Vrabel's a great coach. I think that's a solid defense, and I think Drake May's been playing really good football. So I do think I don't think this is going to be a one-sided game, but I do believe the Seahawks should be rightly favored, right? I mean, in terms of, this is a team whose defense didn't look great in the NFC Championship game, but it seems like the only team they don't look great against is the Rams. I think they can look great against everybody else, and it's also a top 10 offense that has shown, Sam Darnold put kind of one last nail in the coffin in terms of the narrative around him, in terms of his ability to perform in big games. So, yeah, Seattle should feel favored.
Yeah, I look at Seattle, and I think back to Super Bowl. Oh, God, what was it? I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when they absolutely spanked Denver 43-8, right? Now, I don't think it's going to be that much of a blowout. I just think Seattle's a way better team, man. And I like New England. I'll give them credit, because, hey, you got to win your way to the Super Bowl. We can talk about favorable schedules all they want. You still got to beat the teams, and they played some pretty good defenses along the way. But the Seahawks offense is good enough that they can score, but their defense, at the end of the day, the Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams triangle, New England doesn't come close to offering that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's the challenge that they've had, right? Like that Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, along with Devontae Adams, I mean, they have been able to kind of solve Mike McDonald's defense, right? At least in 2 of the 3 games that they played. I just don't know that anybody else possesses that level of weapon. I mean, Stephon Diggs is good, I guess, compared to what the Patriots had coming into this, but he's not that guy. You know, and May has been good, but I think that Seattle's ability to play defense with 4 and their ability to play, you know, they don't play base defense often, right? Like their base defense, they use about 17% of the time. That's the lowest in the league. They like to be in nickel. They like to be in dime. And when that happens, it allows you to bring players down from different angles to defend scrambling quarterbacks, right? I think May has done a good job of. You know, you've got other people that can rally and help make tackles and help support the primary defender next to the play. So unless you've got a guy like Puka Nacua who can catch balls in double coverage, can catch balls in triple coverage, it's just not the same level of weaponry. So I just don't think that I can't see a scenario where the Patriots score more than 17 points, right? I think they're more likely to wind up in that 13-point range, and and that should be enough for Sam Darnold to get done what he needs to get done.
Farhan, there seemed to be a couple plays that were either, should have been plays or calls that should have been made in both games. What coach do you think had the biggest impact, maybe as a positive or a negative for their team?
That's a good question. I just think that are you talking about in the game, in the championship game, or bigger picture for their team over the course of the turnaround? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch the early game closely enough to dissect the play calls. Obviously, Sean Payton probably should have kicked the field goal when he chose not to in the first half there. And, and I know they missed a couple. The last one got tipped. So I think there were some decisions there that you could probably criticize Sean Payton on because, maybe he thought he was going to still be able to get a little bit more out of Jarrett Stidham than he wound up getting and got a little greedy. And then when you factor the conditions into what happened in the second half, I think he probably should have taken the points, early on in those stages, right? So that was the one. I don't know that there was one call that Mike Vrabel made that you can go back and look at. And quite honestly, I don't know. I think the best thing that Mike McDonald did in this game was not on the defensive side of the ball. It was allowing Clint Kubiak to get aggressive on that final series of the game. You turn the ball over in the red zone, and there's just under 5 minutes to go. And it was smart because normally you could say with the way your defense is, let's just take 3, kick the ball back and let our defense play again. But you were losing that battle. Matthew Stafford was doing a number on your defense. Sean McVay was doing a number on your defense. So he decided to get a little bit more aggressive on second and third down and throw the football a little bit more. And Darnold was able to deliver in those moments, as was Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp and others. So I think that was the best part of the game, is they allowed the offense, McDonald allowed his offense to be a little bit more aggressive in those final 5 minutes, and then they were able to drain the clock.
Farhan Lalji joined us. Farhan, the Seattle-LA game had 2 really big plays. Obviously, the muff punt by the Rams, that was huge. The Seahawks undisciplined penalty was huge. It led right to the Puka Nacua touchdown on the very next play. So, now very different in a sense because, you can say, hey, you should be able to control your emotions. But I could argue, well, you should be able to control your feet, and stand up on a punt return. But so either way, those kind of cancel each other out. If you look at that game, as LA was there, but they never really seemed to put Seattle in a lot of trouble.
Well, I think what was interesting about the game is that it turned into a shootout, and it didn't turn into a defensive struggle, which you'd expect the way Seattle had been playing to make that work. I mean, you look at the big play factor in this game. In the previous 3 games combined, Seattle hadn't given up a single play of over 20 yards. The Rams had 7 in this game. And every time in the second half, one team punched, the other team answered, right? And, when you talk about big plays, Devin Witherspoon, who struggled in this game, who fell down on a couple of big plays, one by Nacua, one by Adams, makes the big 4th down stop, right? And so that was probably the other one, because you're right, the 2 plays you talk about, the muff return and the Tariq Woolen play, those were gifts given to the other team, right? But in terms of big plays made, I think that one was a huge one for Seattle, because again, when you look at the secondary, it's still a young group. It's still building. It's primarily draft picks. But they struggled, right? Woolen struggled for much of this game. You look at Witherspoon, who's an all-pro player. He struggled for much of this game. Their best defensive player, in my mind, was Nicky Manwari, who made 3 big-time pass breakups, one against Nakua, one against Adams. You know, it's a rookie player who Mike McDonald loves because he's kind of that chess piece that you allow him to go into a number of different places. So he made his plays where otherwise defensively there wasn't necessarily a lot. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy seeing those two plays, which were both completely game-changing plays that resulted in touchdowns the other way.
Farhan, you talked a little bit about Jared Stidham. Like, you know, I tuned in just because, you know, I wanted to see how this was going to kind of play out. What were your thoughts? I mean, it would have been a very hard situation for him to step into, but what did you think of his game and overall?
Yeah, look, you're right. It was a tough situation. You know, from what I heard in the highlights I saw, I thought he did some decent things in the first half. In the second half, it would have been really, really difficult for Peyton as a play caller. Like, there was nothing there between his inability to get the ball down the field, between the receiver's inability to run routes in those kinds of conditions. Like, it was tough to watch because Denver's not a great running football team. Like, they just haven't been in there. You know, they've gotten banged up at running back as well. They needed their pass game to function at a little higher level. And, you know, when I look at Bo Nix this year, I think Nix has been kind of okay, but he's been great in the final half of a fourth quarter. Right. So you don't have that element as well. Like, generally you can play, if you're Sean Payton, for a close game, let your defense keep it close, and then Bo Nix will find a way to get you through the final, you know, 5 to 7 minutes of a game. And that just wasn't there for him. You know, you'd have to think that Nix could have delivered at a little bit higher level, even in the snow. So I don't know that Stidham was awful, right? Like, that one interception was just not a good play. But yeah, it was just, you felt like Sean Payton was playing with one arm tied behind his back.
Yeah, well, you know, the one thing though, he'll have regrets, Farhan. Why he didn't kick the field goal, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, no,
like, that was
we
such,
said that off the top. Right?
Yeah,
like,
it made no sense.
You have to, yeah, and I mean, you would have known what weather was going to be coming at halftime as well, but it was only going to make it harder for the offenses to move the ball. So, you know, and I get that coaches are getting greedy, and I get he felt he had a lot of time, but his offense wasn't moving the ball consistently to feel comfortable, right? Like, if you are Sean McVay and you make the decision in the red zone with 5 minutes to go that you're not going to take the field goal, that you're going to go for it right here, okay, you've got to feel pretty good about your team's ability, if they get the ball back offensively, to go do some things. I don't think Sean Payton can feel that same way. So, yeah, I think it was a big mistake in an era where coaches are getting more aggressive on fourth down. They're getting more aggressive in the red zone. They're play calling for 4 downs, not 3. It was still a mistake for Sean Payton.
Oh, it was a brutal mistake. It was interesting. Like, on the one field goal, they talked about it afterwards. I think they might have lined up a yard too short because of the snow, and that might have led to the one field goal attempt being blocked.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. This is where you just wish the NFL would allow kickers to use tees, right? Like, because the second miss, the first one of the second half that he missed was just not even close. I think the one before that, he missed the net entirely. You know, and then the last one gets tipped, and he actually looked like he hit it pretty well. So, yeah, you know, not an ideal day or not ideal conditions, because you know, the air gets thinner, so usually the ball does get to carry more. He did have the wind at his back on the last one, but yeah, just a tough day for kickers, and couldn't find a way to get it done.
Moving to the CFL, Farhan Lally joins us. We've got you know, a few days here before a lot of bonuses are due. Trey Ford is one of them. I don't expect him to get that bonus. I expect him to be released by the Elks. It might be a mutual one. We'll see how they word it. But I don't think this is great for the CFL, Farhan. That you have guys, in some cases, guys who sign, you know, what's deemed to be a good contract, and then do a bonus, you know, a year later, 2 years later, all of a sudden the guy gets released because of it. I know what happened in Montreal. What's your thoughts on this, and do you think it would ever change?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a good thing for the players, right? Because generally the players want those bonuses in their deals. They want the lump sum money. Quite often, if the team decides that, okay, we like what's going on here and we want to extend the player, then they turn that roster bonus into a signing bonus, which is taxed at a different rate if you're American. But what it does give the player is it gives them a little bit of clarity and an ability to get out in front of the free agent market, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing, to be honest, from a player perspective, right? Like, people think, oh, well, they're releasing me because of the bonus. They're like, well, no, that's actually not it. They're releasing you when they're releasing you because of the bonus, right? If otherwise, they probably would do it right before training camp. And then what do you do, right? All the free agent money's been spent. So I think this is a good thing for the players in most cases to just get some clarity at the front end. And certainly if you're Trey Ford, right? I mean, there's 3 backup quarterbacks that are going to be out there. Well, 4, I guess, if you include McLeod Bethel Thompson. But when I look at the list of backup quarterbacks the teams will have interest in, right? Jake Mayer is probably at the top of the list, followed by Taylor Powell, who's somebody you should keep an eye on if you're Edmonton. And, and then after that, Dustin Crum, McLeod Bethel Thompson, maybe. Where does Trey Ford fall on that list of potential quarterbacks? Because I think the drop-off between starter and backup in most organizations is huge, right? So Saskatchewan kept Cone, and they liked him and Mayer a lot. But, I don't know that Cone signs quickly if he thinks Mayer's coming back. So I did think those two futures were tied together. So, if you're Mayer, do you look at a situation like Edmonton, right? Because, Cody Fajardo's extended, but when you look at the 9 quarterbacks in the league, if I'm a player looking at where I could potentially work in down the road to eventually become a starter, I probably look at a situation like Cody, right? But there's also some older quarterbacks that are out there, right? Whether it be Winnipeg or whether it be Hamilton and Bo Levi Mitchell, who's the next guy going to be behind some of those players? So there'll be some interesting backup quarterback movement. And I don't know that Trey Ford necessarily fits in any of those situations, right? Because the guy in front of him isn't necessarily a big time dynamic athlete that you want Trey Ford to kind of fall in behind.
What do you make of the Austin Mack situation, though? Right? Like, how is that good?
Again, I mean, I thought he was a really good fit in Jason Moss's system in Montreal. I haven't looked at his contract necessarily that closely, but and I thought he would fit there. I didn't think he was vastly overpaid. I'm not sure if that was purely bonus related or if the timing was just bonus related more than anything else, but he's going to find a home, right? I mean, you look at Austin Mack when he stays healthy, and the available top end receivers in the market, right? It becomes Austin Mack, it becomes Keyshawn Johnson, and it becomes Tim White, right? And White's another player. He's probably not seen as a $300,000 receiver or maybe even a $250,000 receiver. He's going to have to take a little bit, less money, but he'll still be, with a number that starts with a 2 and is going to be a top 2 receiver wherever he winds up going. And look, if I'm Edmonton, I'm in the market for all 3 of those guys.
Oh God, yes. No, like Ed Hervey's probably like, oh, there's some receivers now available. Now he doesn't like overpaying for receivers, and he's never hidden behind that fact. So we'll see. But I guess where I'm going with Austin Mack is he signs a 4-year deal. Everybody thought it was a good deal both ways.
Yeah.
Moves his family there. He's committed there, and boom, he's out. And the CFL, if there's one thing at times, continuity matters for fans. And even for players a little bit, right? You commit somewhere, and so that's, I guess, my only concern is it's hard that, they say, hey, we want to keep people in the same market, and then you have a guy who's played well, has a very fair contract, and now after 2 years, halfway through, it's out. Just seems odd to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like when he signed a 4-year deal, that you're right. I mean, I certainly thought, because that's I don't want to say unprecedented, but it's close to unprecedented. Yeah, I thought that he was a good fit in Montreal. So, I'm not sure if there's more to that story quite yet as I, just dive back into the CFL as much as anything, given the amount of time I've spent on the NFL the last few weeks. But yeah, like it did, from a contractual standpoint, like in terms of bonuses, I didn't look at it any differently. But yeah, you're right. The 4-year contract was something we all thought, okay, this is great if this turns into a trend. And certainly for Montreal, they spent a lot of money on Philpott, right? And I kind of thought he was the next guy there, right? And so, I don't know if the Philpott contract had anything to do with how much they were paying Mack or, if there's more there, if Mack wanted more, if he wanted to restructure, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to have the leverage to do that when you've got a 4-year deal. But I certainly, like you, expected Mack to be there long term. And now whether it turns into, whether he winds up being on top of Edmonton's list, we'll find out. But, those guys all want to go play for the highest regarded quarterbacks, right? Like, A, you want your money, but B, you want to be in an offense that wants to push the ball down the field and be explosive. So we'll see where the right fit is for Mack.
Farhan, great stuff, man. As always, we appreciate it. Have yourself a lovely day. We look forward to be interesting to see who becomes free agents now because there's going to be some guys that get on the market, and we've already talked about it with some receivers, and that's what Edmonton's in the market for. They need some receivers, no doubt.
Well, they do, and you're right. As we go through the list, and especially the Canadians, it's pretty thin there, and it also tells you what a good job Ed Hervey did a year ago, really replenishing the Canadians for Edmonton, because this year there just aren't that many really, really high-end Canadians available.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Awesome stuff, man. We appreciate it, Farhan. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
All right. Take care, guys.
There you go. That is Farhan Lalji from TS. And quick break. We will return. We're going to get to more. We're getting back to some hockey talk as we'll be joined by Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. And we got 5 questions. Emerson Edom, former Ducks player, analyst for the Ducks. They're 7-0 since they lost Erik Karlsson and Troy Terry and McTavish. Now, they didn't lose McTavish at the same time, but they've been without those 3 guys. They're 7-0. It's quite the run for the Ducks, who are suddenly 1 point back of the Oilers in the Pacific Division. This is a big game tonight. You can't let the Ducks beat you on home ice and jump ahead of you in the standings. We'll get to that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. So, when you wake up to no heat, call Legacy. If you need it immediately with no overtime rates. If you need it immediately and want to combo it with AC. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. No payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. It could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood. Troll low down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win cups with salad.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Every lunchtime, hang with Low Tide. Weekdays from noon to 2 on Sports 1440. Low Tide and Declan Kruger gives you the deep dives, sharp analysis, and Edmonton sports talk done right. Your game, your station, Sports 1440.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Are you looking for an affordable business, group, or team outing this season? Why not catch the excitement of a game with the 5-time Junior Hockey League champions, the Spruce Grove Saints? With extremely affordable group and suite packages available and some of the lowest food and drink prices around, Saints games are the perfect night for your next group event. Get your group in on the action. For more information, visit sgsaints.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
3:32. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. I got some text to get to that we'll touch on Evan and Bouchard and some other things. Bouchard, of course, coming off an unbelievable performance on Saturday night. 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points, first career hat trick, first career 6-point game. Only the fifth defenseman in NHL history to have 3 goals, 3 assists, and 6 points in an NHL game. Him and Bobby Orr are the only ones to do that and have 8 shots on goal in a game. He also had 2 block shots, had a huge hit, made some great plays. The play at the blue line to keep the puck in led them to tying the game later on. So Bouchard had himself a performance for the ages, something you just do not see very often. As we now get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of Silent Ice Center, just minutes from South Edmonton. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Great place to watch the game or the concert when they're in there. Check it out, Summit Place. As Dave A. McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. Davey, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm glad I stuck around for the third period of that Oilers game on Saturday, because I had to get up, maybe not for you early, but for me early on Sunday at 7:30 to get downtown to set up for the live edition of the brunch at the Scotiabank. And I'm watching the game. It's like through 2 periods. Man, it's a good game. I should probably go to bed. I'm like, yeah, I'll stick around. And then it just kept getting better as the game went on. And man, am I glad I made that decision, because that was just trying to be a fan. That was really entertaining stuff. And to see how the Oilers managed to come back and win that game, the keep that you pointed out by Bouchard at the line, let alone the 6 points, the hat trick, McDavid's breakaway. I mean, that might have been one of the most exciting games I've seen this year.
Well, Kevin Woodley, we had him on earlier. The Oilers had 20 high danger chances. Charlie Lindgren allowed 6 goals and still had a positive goal saved above expected in the game. Washington themselves had 14 high danger chances. So there was a lot of scoring chances in that game on both ends, which makes it entertaining. You don't see a ton of that. Like some games, you might see 6 high danger chances, which is brutal. So, it was entertaining. Evan Bouchard had himself a game for the ages, really, in every facet. And just, I still think that Evan Bouchard is underappreciated around the hockey world because he plays on the same team as McDavid and Draisaitl, and they get a lot of the press, as they should. But also because we're in a highlight era. So people see highlights of Evan Bouchard of a mistake now and then, but they don't show the highlights of all the really good plays he makes, because you know what? Walking a guy at the blue line that leads to a pass but doesn't result in a goal never gets put on the highlights, but it happens quite often with him.
Put it this way, if Cale Makar did not exist, Evan Bouchard would be far more highly regarded than we could possibly comprehend. But he gets compared to Cale Makar. Wow, he's not Cale Makar. He's not as defensively sound. He's not quite as good maybe offensively as Cale. And so as a result, it's, kind of shoo-shoo over there type thing. If Cale Makar did not exist, Evan Bouchard would be on the Olympic team. The reason he's not on the Olympic team is because Cale Makar is there, and they want a guy to play that role. And so it's going to be Cale. They don't need 2 guys to play that role. And so, Evan gets a bit of I guess what I'm trying to say is we should appreciate him for what he is, but because he's not Cale Makar, we think he's somehow insufficient. But that's not the case. He's a really, really good player that does a lot of great things and is really impressive to watch. He's just not quite Cale Makar, and so he doesn't quite get the same adulation. But what I watched from him the other day on Saturday, there's not too many guys that can play like that.
Yeah, there's actually better than Makar in some facets. People never want to admit it, especially if you actually go back and do a deep dive in their playoff numbers. Bouchard's numbers are actually better. And the thing, I still think Team Canada made an error because Evan Bouchard might be the Oilers' best penalty-killing defenseman. And the Oilers' penalty kill has been really good. Like, Bouchard doesn't have to just play on the power play, but at the Olympic team, what would be the problem having 2 good power play units? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's odd to say, well, we can't have room for Makar and Bouchard. I'm like, why? you can have room for three or four of the same defensemen who aren't great puck movers. Like, what are we talking about? I think it's a little odd to me in how Canada's built their defense core, my own personal opinion.
Well, I think they put so much priority, number one, on the Four Nations. And, it's somewhat understandable. They won. So it worked. And as a result, I think they wanted to bring back the same group. I think they put a premium on guys who have been through it before at that level. I think that's a big reason why Drew Doughty is on that team. And time will tell if that turns out to be a mistake or not. Look, Drew hasn't played good at all since being named to the team. Do I think he can put together a string of 5 or 6 games, which is really all it's going to take? I also do believe that, but we won't know until the tournament plays out. So it all comes down to risk calculation and who you have the most confidence in a short spurt. And I guess they feel that Drew is that guy. But yeah, I mean, if somebody was to get hurt, I think Evan Bouchard should be looked at really, really strongly to be on this team because he's been really good and he's been on long runs in the cup playoffs. Stanley Cup playoffs, hasn't won, but he's gotten about as close to it as you can. Once you get to that point, yeah, it's a coin toss here or there. So to say he can't stand up under the pressure, it's not like they get pumped in the first round every year. He's been in the Cup finals 2 years in a row and about as close as you can get to winning.
Dave, how much, I mean, now that we're talking about Bouchard, like at times you're in Toronto in that market, at times as fans in the media, sometimes do we devalue or take for granted certain players? I mean, you look at Mitch Marner in Toronto and, the struggles that they're having, and I'm sure they would love to have a player like that or maybe even have him back. So at times, do you think we devalue and take away a little bit and take for granted the player and the skill?
Yeah, I do. I do think so. There's a reason why Joni Mitchell and the Big Yellow Taxi became such a big hit as a song. You don't know what you got till it's gone. It's because there's truth in that saying, right? And did the Leafs get to where they wanted to go with Mitch Marner on board? No. Were they disappointing often in the playoffs? Yes. Would you trade where they are right now to get back to being an automatic for the playoffs, maybe winning around and seeing what happens? Also, yes. And like, that's the reason why Brendan Shanahan, I can tell you, was reluctant at breaking up the core. It's not that he was against trading any one of the core 4 in Toronto. It's that he was against getting rid of one of them and replacing them with 2 or 3 guys that don't add up to nearly as good as the guy that you're giving up. So the Leafs are in a really bad spot right now. Would they be in a better spot if Mitch Marner was here? Probably. It would have helped on the power play at the beginning of the year when it was horrendous for 25 games and literally cost them points. 4 or 5 more points, they're right there now. So yeah, his absence has hurt in that sense, but how much longer can you keep going with the same group when it doesn't ultimately get you to where you want to be, which is to contend for a Stanley Cup? So at some point, something has to change. And the reason he ended up moving out is because his contract came up and it just happened to work out that way. It could have been William Nylander. It could have been Austin Matthews, but the way the contracts worked out, it was Mitch. And so did people in Toronto undervalue him? Yeah, maybe to an extent, because they'd be in a better position with him. Question is, if he was still in the fold, would that mean they're a cup contender? And history on that would also suggest probably not.
Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM joins us. Dave, the Buffalo Sabres
never lose.
One of the hottest teams in the NHL for 2 months. And you look at, you're right there. You see a lot of the Atlantic Division with Detroit and Tampa and Buffalo and Montreal and Boston and Toronto. Ottawa, of course, is they did get a big win yesterday, spanked Vegas. What do you make of the Sabres and the fact that Detroit and Buffalo and Pittsburgh and the Islanders
Yeah.
and Boston are all currently in a playoff spot.
Well, when it comes to the Buffalo Sabres, they're finally playing up to the level that I felt their roster was capable of. I could never quite understand when I looked at their group why they were as bad as they tended to be all the time. They've got nice pieces all over that lineup. I think their blue line is really sound, and I've been saying it for 2 or 3 or 4 years that you look at the depth with Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power and Matthias Samuelsson and Bowen Byram. Like, there's good players there, yet they were no good. So the reason that they've turned it around like this is hard to put my finger on, because it was hard to put my finger on why they were so bad for so long to begin with. One thing I can point to is their goaltending has been better. They've been getting stops. And when you get stops, it's amazing how many more problems get solved. Same thing in Detroit. As good as Moritz Seider and Simon Edmondson and Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat, James Van Riemsdyk, who's come in and been really effective for them this year, as well as all those guys have played. John Gibson has been at a Vezina Trophy level since December the 2nd. He is 16-2, I believe, in his last 18 starts. And his goals against is just slightly above 2. His save percentage is almost 93. I mean, if you have goaltending like that, you have a chance not just to win every night, but to be a damn good team. And so that's what's happening in Detroit. I don't really see either of those teams falling off at this point. I think you and I, Jason, talked about this maybe 3 weeks, a month ago. And I said, well, let's sort of revisit at the end of January. And if anything, Detroit and Buffalo have only got better since then. So, I think they're pretty safe to say that they're probably both going to be in. Having watched Detroit in person on Wednesday night last week, they're really, really impressive group. Moritz Seider, man, here's a guy that if they get into the playoffs and start being thought of as a contending team as opposed to an also-ran, watch this guy's stock just skyrocket, because this guy is a beast. Plays half the game. He's huge. He's physical. He can move the puck. He can skate. I mean, what's not to shoots right? What's not to like there? And Buffalo, they just keep putting good efforts together. If the Leafs have any chance, they got 2 games left against Buffalo this year. One on Tuesday night. Got to beat them in regulation both times, but I'm just not convinced, seeing what I've seen out of Toronto, that they're going to be able to do that this year, because Buffalo's been really good.
Dave, I played against Craig Berube, and he almost tried to take my head off here in Edmonton, and it looks like someone tried to take his head off in the gym. Like, what off the ice? Like, what happened there? And what's going on with Nylander flipping the bird? What's going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs and some place activities?
Yeah, he said that he never looked that bad after playing as he did after coming out of the gym on Thursday. Like, he came to the podium. I could see his eye was a little black and his side of his face was a bit swollen. I leaned over to my colleague Lance Hornby and I was like, what happened to Chief there? He's like, I don't know. Then he took his hat off, and no word of a lie, boys. We're all like, oh, because I've never seen anybody look that bad and yet apparently be perfectly fine. He was in the gym. He said it was really stupid. I think it was involving lifting something, and it just got away from him. And we saw what we saw. I mean, that was devastatingly bad. What is more confounding to me, Sean, is that your coach can be standing behind you looking like that, and the 2 efforts that you turn in are the ones that they did against Vegas and Colorado, where the game felt like it was over 7 minutes into the game. And then, after the game on Sunday, Matthews had the nerve to come out and say, yeah, you know what? I thought our start was a little bit better than the last couple, but you were down 2-0, 7 minutes in, and you got caved in by the time the first period was over. You glad it wasn't 4-0? Like, the game was over. So that's what's the most concerning thing to me. And I think what we're seeing right now in Toronto is just an absolute void in leadership. I hate to say it, but I always try to tell it to you straight as I see it. And when you got the guy who's the captain being nowhere to be seen in the days leading up to Mitch Marner's return with Vegas on Friday, Does not speak in the morning or after the game on Friday. John Tavares spoke both in the morning and after the game on Friday. And then you got Willie Nylander, who's not 20 years old and a dopey kid who's trying to be cool in the NHL. He's a grown-ass man who's 29 years old flipping people off. And like, look, I'm not offended by it. I'm a bad guy to ask. I'll fully admit this, Sean, about these types of things because my standard to be offended is so high. But I also understand the market. And I know that while I'm not offended by it, people will be. And so you should, whenever possible, try to keep the flipping of the bird to cameras on national TV to a minimum, just because you know you're going to have to answer about it, and you probably don't want to have to do that. And it looks really silly. Like I got a note from a guy earlier who was really upset about it and said, my kid was watching and now he's running around all day flipping people off, which is kind of funny.
I never believe that stuff. I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Like, first of all, it was such a split second. How it was on the camera for what, 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. I just
You're a professional though.
Yeah.
You
No. I'm talking about the kid. My kid saw this once and now they do. It's like when there used to be brawls in hockey all the time. We didn't have brawls in minor hockey all the time.
No, but I'll tell you what we would have, Jason. In recess, we'd have mock brawls and mini sticks to where the teachers would have to come running and like break it up. So I'm telling you, man, when look, I've been 6 years old a lot more recently, maybe than you've been. And I don't know. And I'm telling you, like, it was
like if you're a parent your kid. Don't. Oh, my kid flipped me the bird. If your kid flips you the bird once, if it happens twice, it's your fault. Like,
but they are role models.
I'll say, William Nylander. All that action shows is what I've said. Toronto's leadership has never been good. Their core guys don't care. They're soft as margarine, and you're seeing that again this year. Everybody always thought it was just Mitch Marner. He was one of the guys. Their whole leadership core, and I've had players who played there who have left Toronto and said they're never winning with that core because they don't have an alpha male who will hold others accountable. When you have a guy who sits there, the flipping of the bird doesn't bother. It's the action itself that shows where their level of focus and maturity is as a group.
I completely agree with that.
I think bringing in a coach like Ruby was obviously you need a player.
You can't change players who they are. That's who they are. Yeah. So bring in better leaders.
Yeah.
Don't think you played. Your coach can't lead you on the ice. He can lead you up to you step on the ice, and then it's up to you to lead.
But I think bringing him in was part of that.
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they tried to do. But I agree with you, Jace. Once you are on the ice, you are who you are. And the four of them, maybe the three of them. John, I think Tavares desperately cares. He's just at a point in his career where the impact that he can have is not at the same point that he could have when he came into the league on Long Island. So I'll say the three: Nylander, Matthews, and Marner. They're all cut the same way. Like, they really are essentially the same guy. And I did think it was a mistake at the time when they took the C off Tavares to put it on Matthews, because from everything that I've seen out of him, you might as well just give it back to John Tavares, because if you don't want to come out and speak on the day that Mitch Marner's back in town, and then you make a snippy comment to Masters the week before when they were in Vegas about I'm sick and tired of the Mitch questions, like, bud, what are you expecting right now? Just say, hey, it's going to be weird playing against him. He was great for our team when he was here and he chose to move on. We're going to try and beat him. Then we're not talking about this 10 days, 2 weeks later. But he's snippy and it becomes a thing, and there's just no need for it. And so really, like, I think Matthews is a great player, but he's a great player when you leave him alone, you let him score goals, let him do his thing. Don't look to him for leadership. That's a mistake. You're not going to get it to the extent that you that you want. And as a result, you're going to be perpetually disappointed in what you see.
Honestly, if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would take a long, hard look at trading one of Nylander and Matthews while their trade is at a value is at an all-time high and getting some good pieces in return. I wouldn't trade both of them because you need some skill. But go out and trade them for guys who have better leadership qualities. They're not going to be the alpha dog, and that's okay. I don't expect guys who aren't that to be what they're not. So go find it, because otherwise, you know what's going to happen? You're going to lose Matthews for nothing.
Yeah.
But would it not be easier to bring in stronger personality role guys?
But what are you going to trade to bring in those guys? And you can't. And Brownie, you played. Can you bring in a guy who's a leader, who's your third line guy? Doesn't your leaders have to be your top guys?
You have to be able to play. You have to play.
Like Scott Lawton. Scott Lawton is a fantastic leader.
Yes.
I love everything about Scott. He is trying so hard. He came out to speak. Why? He played with Mitch for like 10 games. He didn't know anything about what it was like when Marner was in town. But he can only do so much. I really believe that needs to come from the guys that drive the ship. It can't be coming from your third and fourth line. You need it on your third and fourth line, but if that's all you have, I don't think it's enough.
Was it a mistake getting rid of Reeves?
No, I don't think so. I love Ryan Reeves. I really do. But again, he is who he is. And, he can be rah-rah in the room and this and that, and where did it get you? It has to be a part of the guys that drive your ship. If it's not coming from them, one player alone on the fourth line doesn't make you more tough. It helps, but the guys who are on the ice for 20 minutes a night needs to be where it starts from, and it doesn't seem to start there in Toronto.
But Dave, there is practice too, right? And that's where a lot of guys hold a lot of guys accountable too. Right?
Well, I agree, and I Scott Lawton holds guys accountable. Like he does. He says all of the right things. But I mean, I'll ask you, Sean, how do you hold guys accountable when you do that if you're a guy like Scott and it falls on deaf ears? And then you go out and you turn in the same performance night after night and you say, I think our start was better. Better? It's 2-0, 7 minutes in. If that's Nathan McKinnon, he's taking an axe to the wall saying, I just wasted a day of my life. And then Matthews said, that was fun playing against Mitch on Friday. Fun? Buddy, you got caved in. Like, that's not what people want to hear. And that's why I think it needs to come from the top. It's not coming from there. And really, this group, outside of a 2-week stretch from Christmas until 10 days ago, basically it's been the same team from the start of the year, where it's the coach, it's the role players pleading with guys to be better and turn in better efforts, and yet it just never comes consistently. So what does that tell you after 40 of 52 games, really? Davey, always good to catch up with you, buddy. Enjoy the Sabre game tomorrow night. Should be interesting. The red hot Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, they're red hot.
The good people of North Tonawanda deserve something nice for a change.
There you go. I like it. It's Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. We'll talk to you on the brunch on Sunday. Let's take a quick break. We'll return to Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. So when you wake up to no heat, call Legacy. If you need it immediately with no overtime rates. If you need it immediately and want to combo it with AC. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. No payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. It could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
They're not just a grocery store. They're a butcher, a baker, a cafe, deli, rotisserie pizza, and restaurant, all under one roof. Loca Quality Market does food differently with 2 locations to serve you. Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Visit loca.ca.
Top quality flooring, locally owned, and Canadian products from Beaulieu. Yeah, that's CFI.
CFI what?
No, CFI. Custom Floors Inc.
From free estimate to professional installation, contact Custom Floors Inc. at customfloorsinc.ca.
Comes once a year.
Aw, Valentine's Day.
What? No, from the top. It only comes once a year.
Oh, here we go. The Rock and Bowl Super Party, only at On the Rocks.
Join host Ryan Jesperson on Sunday, February 8th.
At OTR for the biggest football party in Edmonton.
Your $30 ticket includes
all-you-can-eat buffet, commemorative t-shirts, prepaid Miller Lights, and entry to all prizes, including
$1,000 cash.
the Rock and Bowl Super Party.
Only at On the Rocks.
Book your table today.
OnTheRocksYEG.com.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is this Thursday at 9 a.m. with Tritum, tandem, and single axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, plows, man lifts, pickers, refuse trucks, and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Are you overwhelmed by debt and getting nonstop calls from creditors? It can feel like there's no escape. Debt doesn't have to be a life sentence. A single call can turn things around. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO right here in Edmonton. I can help you become debt-free with a solution just for you. Let's put an end to those calls from creditors together. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Industrial Auctions are this Thursday and Friday. These major events include multiple lanes selling a large section of multi-purpose trucks, equipment, and commercial trailers. Info at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get 3 large specialty pizzas for only $54.99. Perfect for game night. Use promo code 3LG at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
To 5 questions brought to you by The Brick Furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs. And get great savings on all of them right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. Great games in terms of entertainment value Saturday night with the Capitals and Oilers. Oilers winning in overtime. When it comes to pure entertainment value, what is the best game you've ever seen?
I guess for me, I'll go with the most recent one, the Canada-U.S. Four Nations era. I mean, who could have predicted the fights right off the bat there? That was actually kind of, I forget what I was doing something that day and I was taping it. And maybe my son was playing or something like that, but I was getting a bunch of texts about, did you see that? And can you believe this? And yeah, that was probably, anytime you get 2 countries going at it, whether it's the Olympic, the gold, the gold goal there by Sidney Crosby. I love those.
Yeah, it's hard because, a lot of times it's going to be a recent memory for sure. I don't want to copy you and say that game because the start of it was obviously just because it was so unexpected. Right?
Yeah.
That's what made it fantastic. When I think of games over time that I have just like, it was an entertaining game that I had nothing to do with, the Patriots Giants because of the catch. And the fact it was the perfect season on the line for the Patriots and got ruined. That was a game that was it the most entertaining game start to finish? No, but it definitely held my interest for sure. Every game 7 of a Stanley Cup final, NBA final, MLB, like those games are just like, what about the Blue Jay game? Their game 7. That was, for recent memory, that's probably one of the most entertaining games, especially because the Jays had so many chances to win the game. Jeez.
Question number 2. We still haven't Bouchard put on a legendary performance Saturday night. You've talked about it. If you're ranking offensive defensemen in the NHL, who do you have him above him on the list?
Well, you probably have to put Cale Makar simply because, he has more points. So if we're talking from a pure offensive standpoint, then, I'm going to say Cale Makar. He would, because Makar has more goals and he has more points. So I would say Makar.
I would agree. I mean, Makar is hard to argue. Another player that I don't have his stats or anything like that, but just watching him and watching his game offensively is huge. I mean, his impact on the game and his ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's good. The other guy I would put in the list because the other guy doesn't have the advantage of ever getting to play with McKinnon or Draisaitl or McDavid. Zach Werenski in Columbus. Like, you look at Zach Werenski's numbers and Columbus has some good players, but they don't have a superstar offensive player. And Werenski just continues, especially the last few seasons here. Like, he is piling up the points on the back end.
Yeah, it's a name I was thinking of for the last couple of years here. Question number 3. It is early on, but do you have a favorite storyline as we get closer to the Super Bowl between the Patriots and Seahawks?
I know that blowouts don't happen that often, but this one to me is blowout city. So I guess my storyline would be, what is the line going to be heading into the game?
I guess maybe for me, I guess it would be, the coaching, right? Isn't it that Mike Vrabel, he played for the Pats, had a chance to play for them and also be a coach to, as a player win the Super Bowl and as a coach win the Super Bowl for the same team. That's pretty cool.
I'll throw in just the Sam Darnold arc from seeing ghost to starting in the Super Bowl. Question number 4, we're going to change it up here. It is Wayne Gretzky's 65th birthday. So do you have a favorite Wayne Gretzky story on or off the ice?
Yeah, for me, it was obviously playing against Gretzky was, was a pretty special moment to play against a player like that, growing up and watching him and everything that he's done. So it was kind of cool when we were in Madison Square. I got a couple, but we were playing in Madison Square Gardens, and I was with Roman Hammerlick as a D partner, and Gretzky was coming down on us, and he looked at me and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He actually looked at me, and then he looked at Hammerlick, and then he came and looked at me and beelined it right for me. I think he's seen some low-hanging fruit there and thought, I will go against this guy. I won't tell you how it turned out, but I definitely didn't stand him up at the blue line.
No.
But yeah, it was always just to see those guys, right? Watching them, as a young kid and then getting an opportunity to play against them. And I remember another time when we were in LA, I was actually in Boston and we played an exhibition game, and there he is in warm up, and you're just, you're young, you're staring at him, and I couldn't take my eyes off of him. And he was by the red line, and we all know the unwritten rule: you don't cross the red line, and you don't really go near the red line unless you're kind of one of those guys. And they had McSorley, and McSorley was always around the red line. And I remember just staring at him and staring at Gretzky, and I was like, as I'm staring at Gretzky, McSorley is staring at me, and I was kind of like, Jesus, I better be careful how much I'm staring at Wayne Gretzky. I don't want to give Marty McSorley the wrong information. Like, I want anything to do with him. So, yeah, it's pretty special playing against a guy like that. That's the one guy I wish I got. I got Lemieux's stick. I
never got a Gretzky.
I wish I got a Gretzky.
Oh,
I was thinking,
one of the White Titans.
Yeah,
sick.
And I was like, do you give up a Lemieux for a Gretzky? If I had an opportunity to trade, I probably would. And Gretzky means a little bit more.
You played for the Oilers. You played in the same organization. I could see why that.
But just Gretzky,
like Lemieux is great, but come on. Like, just all I got to do is look at the rule book. The record book. It's not really close at the end of the day, right? Like, as great as Lemieux was, like, he's still 1,000 points behind Gretzky.
Yeah.
So
I would make that trade.
You can talk what ifs all you want. What ifs? There's no. Oh, you know what? If he played more games, he'd have scored this. That doesn't sell on the market. Right? that doesn't, it's not like, well, there's no what ifs there, right? His rookie card isn't worth more because he might have played more. It's just not how it works. So yeah, no, of course, somebody offered you a Lemieux for if you said, hey, I'll give you a Lemieux and the Gretzky, find some guy in Pittsburgh who's got a Gretzky stick.
I know.
Right? Because then there's the emotional connection, but yeah, all day long. To me, Gretzky, like, obviously I've met Wayne a few times, great. But to me, it's more, when you just take times and you dig into some of his records over the years, and just, kind of his, like, in his first 10 seasons in the NHL, he had 1,837 points. First decade in the NHL. Like, there's only 2 players in their whole career who had more than that. That was his first decade. Like, Gretzky was on a different planet. And the more and it's kind of funny because my son now is getting older and he likes to, read up on stuff. And So he's reading up on this. He's always like, well, Dad, it just doesn't make sense. Like, how could he be that much better than everyone else? And that's why when everybody's, oh yeah, I played in the 80s. Everybody played in the 80s. Everybody who played in the 80s played in the 80s. Why was he so much better than everyone else? Why? Because he was better than everyone else. Like, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you've met him too. And that's the one thing I thought was really special about him, because with those great players that everyone wants a piece of your time. And I've met him a few times, but I met him in Nashville. And I remember it was, late in the night. We were all probably out. He was out. I was out. I know that. And he came into the lobby, and I went up to him right away. And just the time that he had for me, I'm pretty sure he didn't know who I was, but just the time that he had for me, just the kind of small talk and, humor me for a little bit. I thought that was pretty special too.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Final question, guys. We'll make it quick here. On this day in 1954, they broke ground on Disneyland in California. So if you could head to one amusement park tomorrow, where are you going and what's the first ride?
I'm gonna go with Canada's Wonderland. Being from Ontario, that was always kind of a pretty special place, and they got some pretty cool rides. I'm not a heights guy and I'm not a ride guy, but I went back there and I took my daughter and I was like, oh shoot, I actually got to go on the rides with her. It's just her and I, and I did quite a bit of them. The one roller coaster I didn't do was the Bat, but other than that, I did them all, and I swear I couldn't turn my head for about 2 weeks. My neck was so sore from being stressed out on those rides.
Oh man, I would go back to Six Flags Magic Mountain, California, and it has some of the best. Like it's more for for adults and older, and their rides are unbelievable. Apocalypse was phenomenal ride. I was looking at, it's funny because we're looking at a place to go, and I was like, man, I want to go there again. My son's not old enough yet, but he kind of likes rides. My wife would hate it. She doesn't like those at all. But they had a ride at I don't remember the name of it, but you locked in. It was like a roller coaster, except when you sat in your seat, there was no floor. And so you were belted in, but your feet dangled above you. Yeah. And as you went, it was like you were swinging and you'd come through the trees. And so you're swinging, you're like, oh my God, we're going to hit the tree. And boom, it obviously it's built so you don't hit the tree. It was phenomenal, man. Like that was the best roller coaster park I'd ever been to. Six Flags. Now I've never been to Disneyland, so I can't compare. So I'm going to the one that I know is good for me. Yeah. I would go back to Six Flags. Unreal rides. Absolutely loved it. So Dive Devil, sick ride.
I think that's like a version of, they're very similar to Canada's Wonderland. Have you ever been there?
I've never been to Canada's Wonderland.
I think
where is it?
It's in Toronto.
It's in Toronto, right in Toronto?
Yeah. Just I don't know, maybe Markham or something like that, but it's not too far away.
Really?
Yeah.
And they have lots of rides.
Tons. Yeah, that was kind of like the Cadillac of all amusement parks to go to growing up.
All right. Well, next time I go there, I might have with my son, I've stopped in. So you're giving it a 5-star recommendation?
Well, yeah, if you like to be scared and you're a thrill seeker, then I think it's right.
Well, I like roller coasters. Like I don't like where I'm spinning though. Like that's why I like a roller coaster. If I have to do a loop, no problem. It's those rides, like I respect people who do like the Gravitron, you just like sit on the ride and it's just like spins in a circle for a minute straight. I'm just like, maybe because when I went on the ride in Leduc and some kid puked on it and I'm on the other side, the one that used to stand up on, and like, it was like all his vomit came like, a spot or two away from me. It didn't hit me, but I was just like, this is the worst. Yeah. And so I never went on those rides again. I don't like the spinoramas. So Brownie, have yourself a great day. Enjoy the games, and we will chat with you next Monday. That's Sean Brown. Let's get to Con Man. We're a little late. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Loca.ca. 2 locations, Edmonton and Sherwood Park. They have over 200 chef-prepared meals for you. Stop in or order online, meals.loca.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Game day, Oilers and Ducks down at Rogers Place. Puck drop 6:30. Pregame here on Sports 1440 at 5:30. Elsewhere, you got the Lightning in Mammoth. Bruins in New York taking on the Rangers. Flyers hosting the Islanders. Jackets games postponed due to weather issues in Columbus. In the association tonight, Cavaliers host the Magic. Lakers in Chicago. Grizz take on the Rockets. Timberwolves host the Warriors. Earlier today, Hawks knocked off the Pacers 132-116. And it was the Hornets victorious over the Sixers 130-93. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear Cam Pate's 2-minute warning, more comments from the Oilers, and be joined by former NHLer, current Ducks analyst Emerson Edom. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, the Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Legacy Heating and Cooling offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. When you wake up to know
the Jason Gregor welcome.
If you need it immediately with no overtime rates. If you
Gregor,
need it
Sean
immediately and want
Brown.
to combo it with AC.
Welcome.
No interest for 1 year on your new furnace. It could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium one-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular menu price. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's with a $6 one-top medium when you order any large specialty at regular menu price. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215
Welcome back, Jason Gregor.
97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for
5
electrical
questions
wholesalers,
brought
is
to
ready
you.
for the Power Play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
The new double cheesy melt at McDonald's. We're talking 2 juicy, mouth-watering 100% Canadian beef patties, 2 slices of cheesy goodness, with even more melty, cheesy sauce on top. Topped with pickles, then crispy and grilled onions. The way it all comes together, you don't just eat it, you melt into it. The double cheesy melt, only at McDonald's. For a limited time only, at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Commissioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is this Thursday at 9 a.m. with Tridem, tandem, and single-axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, plows, man lifts, pickers, refuse trucks, and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Commissioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring graders, forklifts, wheel loaders, man lifts, mini excavators, skid steers, telehandlers, plus commercial trailers and sea cans. Info at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendinitis to post-surgical knees and hips. We fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
4:15. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. Oilers and the Ducks tonight. Remember, the game is on Prime, so adjust accordingly. If you don't have it or you want to go out, you can go see it. Maybe one of your buddies has it. Who knows? And it starts a little bit earlier. Puck drop around 6:40 tonight. The Oilers, they're starting to stretch here where they play some more Pacific Division games. Actually, 15 of their final 29 games this season are against Pacific opponents, including the Ducks 3 times. They got Vegas 3 times. And that's a good thing. Edmonton kind of controls their own destiny. They're 2 points back of Vegas. They're 1 point up on Anaheim. Now Vegas has 2 games in hand. The Ducks have a game in hand. So You got to win tonight just so the Ducks don't pass you in the standings. Like, no offense, but that would be brutal. The Ducks have allowed the second most goals in the NHL. So, hey, now they got Dostal, and that's why, people are, he's been great. He's been great lately, but not necessarily all season. They still give up a ton. We heard from Woodley, the Oilers had 20 high danger chances against Washington. So they created a lot. Now they scored 6 goals. Pretty good. When you have 20 high danger, you might probably want to bury a few more maybe. But you know what? The Ducks, they're playing third game in 4 nights. Second half of a back-to-back. Their backup goalie is going to play. Troy Terry, Leo Carlson, their 2 leading scorers, both out of the game. Mason McTavish, not playing. Vetrano, not playing. Like, this is a tired, beaten down team with the backup goalie. This should be a game that Edmonton not only wins, but wins handily. Like, you got to start taking advantage of games where you have the scheduling advantage and really say, hey, guess what? We're going to put the pedal down tonight. We'll see if they do it or not. They will have Josh Szymanski making his NHL debut tonight for the Oilers. Also, Kasperi Kapanen comes back in the lineup, expected to play with Draisaitl and Podkolzin. The Gregor Show odds boost today. We went with McDavid 2 points. He's been averaging 2 points for the last 27 games, so that's not a stretch. But we don't call it very often. We went for Oilers to win by 3 or more. So check that out. We also have some odds boost on other games at playalberta.ca. Always stay within your limits. And let's get to the 2-minute warning now with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, of course, longtime journalist in town. Cam, born with cerebral palsy. He's been in wheelchairs. Never let him slow him down for 45 years. Being in the media industry, Cam's always wanted to be in radio. And we got him on the show daily. With the 2-minute warning, his words come to life.
Edmonton Elk fans, remember the 1977 Grey Cup in Montreal? Not the 41-6 shellacking, the weather. -10 with winds howling at 70 kilometers an hour. Wind chill kissing -20. Colder than your mother-in-law's stare. I thought about that frozen nightmare watching that New England-Denver AFC championship. You know, the one you really enjoyed, didn't you, over there, Gregor? Started -3, ended -18 with wind chill, snowing like a Manitoba blizzard. Football turned into an ice-capade. So how do professional teams prepare for these Arctic exhibitions? Did some digging, and it's fascinating. First move? Forget the shotgun. Get that quarterback under center. Try snapping a frozen pigskin 7 yards through the air when your fingers feel like frozen sausages. You're begging for a fumble. Next, straight-ahead power football. Those fancy dancing running backs? Useless when they can't plant. It's like cutting on a Costco parking lot in January. So you bring in the refrigerators, 2 tight ends, a fullback, and run it up the middle. Guy slips going forward, 2 yards. Tries bouncing outside, he's Bambi on ice for a 5-yard loss. Here's the twist. Snow helps your passing game. The receiver knows his route, but that defensive back has to react. One double move and that DB's sliding like he hit black ice on the white mud. And get this, NFL players wear scuba vests under their pads. Seriously. Plus thermals, ski masks, gloves. On the sideline, jackets sit on heated benches. Industrial heaters, hand warmers, the works. Our poll today asks, do you often think about football teams preparing for incumbent weather? We have the results, Connor Halley. 38.8, don't forget the 8 for heaven's sake, said, yes, they do. 61.3 said, no, not really. 2-minute warning, Gregor, Halley, Kruger. I'll get to you when it warms up. And me, Tater, all part of sports. 1440.
I watched that game, and it was it's like we've never seen teams play in snow before. Like, one of the greatest Grey Cup games was 96, Edmonton and Toronto in the snow, the Eddie Brown catch. Like, is it harder? Yes, but Cons, the thing is, before the snow arrived, there was very little execution happening in that game offensively. Like, it was one of the worst games I'd seen. The snow just gave the people who can never admit that, you know what, like this was awful. Like New England, yeah, they won the game, but they can't be happy with how they played.
No, that game sucked. I mean, honestly, like
it's brutal.
If you love defense, sure, maybe you can make an argument for it. But I mean, I didn't think the execution was good at all for either teams. I mean, Jarrett Stidham looked like a backup quarterback, and the weather just masked that in the second half. The field goals, 1 for 5. Like, it just wasn't a very good game. And, you know, the second game, thankfully, blew it out of the water, and we saw some points and everything like that. Probably the easiest bet you could have made at PlayAlberta.ca was going in the under in that one. But no, I'm with you. I thought it was bad. And, you know, Tater says it like, what do you can prepare for it. You can try to stay warm. Tom Brady wearing the wetsuit was a famous story, and you can wear the proper footwear. I know Bill Belichick's got a few stories about that, but I don't know. There wasn't much going on in that game on Sunday, and I guess give credit to the Patriots. I think, you know, Drake May's made 3 big plays, 1 big play in each game. He had the touchdown to Hunter Henry in the first game. He had the touchdown to Booty in the second game. And on the game, well, I guess the game-winning field goal, he had the 28-yard run. That was about it when it came to big plays in that game.
Yeah, like I know that and you know, they got 2 weeks to prepare, and they're going to get prepared, and you know what, the weather shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully in San Francisco, I'm pretty sure it's not going to snow there, Cons. I can't guarantee it, but
there's a storm going right now. Who knows?
I'd be fairly confident that we won't see any snow in that game. At least usually we don't in like, has it ever snowed in San Fran?
I'm sure it has.
I'm sure it has once, right, at some point, but it's rare. Like it's not necessarily going to be balmy by any stretch of the imagination, but it should not be, you know, what you saw in Denver by any stretch of the imagination.
More than 0.1 of an inch once. Downtown San Fran in 1852.
All right, so there you go.
Okay, maybe other times, but yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah. So like, I think what people forget is Jarrett Stidham had more passing yards than Drake May in this game. Drake May had 86 passing yards. 86. Like, you think that's going to get it done against the Seahawks, Cons? Like, the Patriots defense is okay, but it's not like the Patriots defense is stellar. So
you can run against them, I think. And really, like, how many attempts did they take? Just hoping and praying. Drake May, just like, please. They're throwing deep shots against Patrick Surtain. Like, it just wasn't going to happen.
No, not good at all. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the Ducks, they're giving up a ton of goals, but they're winning a lot of games. How are they doing it? We'll find out next. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular menu price. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's with a $6 1-top medium when you order any large specialty at regular menu price. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. Properties include the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility in Nisku, features 2 sheets of ice, a 1,600-seat arena, as well as Summit Restaurant. Learn more at silentice.com.
Planning your next event? Let Loca Quality Market cater. From made-to-order meals to gourmet platters to full chef tasting experiences, they make entertaining effortless. Visit loca.ca to start planning today.
Mr. Rooter goes skiing.
Sick gear, Mr. Rooter. Are you ready to hit the slopes? Not yet. I need to report a possible crime. Oh no, what's happening? I saw a bunch of hooligans discussing shredding the half pipe. As a plumber, I've taken the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm and act in the best interests of all pipes, whether PVC, copper, or otherwise. It's made of snow, Mr. Rooter. Snow? Things are worse than I had feared.
There's no better plumber than Mr. Rooter.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Remember 2025? That's so last year.
But seriously, St. Albert Dodge needs to clear some 2025 models off the lot to make room for new inventory. So they're having a huge clear out of all the remaining new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Saharas. The Sahara package is the best seller, so they have a great selection to choose from and priced from as low as $59.9. I don't have to tell you, these are going to go fast. So get there before they are gone. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Jason Gregor isn't just a sports guy. He's a community builder with over $2 million raised for local charities. And his Gregor Foundation, he's making a difference on and off the air. Check out Gregor weekday afternoons on Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EWEL. Get your power play amped up with EWEL, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. EWEL.ca is your partner in power.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We're 27. Rolling through a lovely Monday afternoon. Oh, they're showing a sick video of Guy Lafleur flying down the ice. Man, it's back when they had the no buckets on and his hair was just flowing. Ooh, I could see how Guy was, well, not only was a great player, but people be like, you know what? There's just something, just like when you get to go in the ODR sometimes. Not that I would know because I don't have any hair, but to those who do, you know, there's just something about that, Cons, having the hair flowing through when you're on the ice. It's fantastic. I love it. So should be good. Oilers are hoping to be flying, maybe avoid the flying V tonight of the Anaheim Ducks. Of course, they don't actually have the flying V. At least, well, I've never seen it in the NHL game. But hey, they know how to win 7 in a row for the Quackers right now. As we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, where you can take action on your savings. The most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta. 4 divisions and project service, testing, and solar. They can help you out any area. actionelectrical.net. We're going to get to Emerson Edom, who is the analyst for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Of course, former first-round selection of the Ducks, has been radio analyst, TV analyst for a few years. He's going to join us momentarily. And the Ducks, like, it's wild. The Ducks, like, what a season they had. So they started out 19-10-1 in their first 30 games. 5th best points percentage in the NHL. They were rolling, playing very well. Then they only won 2 out of their next 15 games. And then they got some injuries, and you're thinking, uh-oh. It's kind of, they went 2-11-2. You lost guys to injury. And at the end of it, it was Troy Terry, their second leading scorer. Then not Eric Carlson, but Leo Carlson went down 2 games later, and you're thinking, uh-oh. But since Carlson got injured, they're 7-0. That doesn't make any sense. It's a great story. I love it. It's been kind of an up and down season for the Ducks. They were the best. They were top 5 team for the first 30 games, and they're actually the worst team in the NHL for the next 15. And now they're the best team in the NHL over the last 7. Emerson Edom joins us. Emerson, can you explain this wild roller coaster season for the Ducks?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And not too long ago, the midst of or at least the end of the 9-game winless streak there, I think the Ducks had the 6th best odds of the first overall pick. So it's quite the turnaround. But in a way, it's one of those things where I think is slightly what was needed, right? Just to reset this team, get them to really understand how you need to play in order to have long-term success, right? And the skill was there, the finishing ability as far as finishing in the high danger scoring areas. That's been going since the start of the season. But if you look at, of course, the first 20 or so games when this team was really riding a high, the amount of goals scored against, right? And they're cleaning up the slot area in the defensive zone, really helping the netminders out. And it's just better sticks in the lane, heads on the swivel, intercepting those seam passes and boxing out. I mean, once again, during the great stretch to start the season, in the midst of all the goals for, just too many of the opposition getting on the inside and getting allowed second and third opportunities at it. But over this last stretch, you saw the first period against Calgary last game where it started to trickle in the game again, but just great messaging from the coaches and able to this team to get them back on the right track. And so it's quite the turnaround. And even in real time now, it's just they're playing the right way.
And it is funny because when they had that stretch, like they got crushed. They were basically losing every game by 2 goals. They were averaging 2.6 goals against, way down, but they were giving up 4.67. Now, we had Kevin Woodley on, and Dostal kind of had a little bit of a dip, and it seems like as he goes, the Ducks go. And that's probably unfair to say, but like you look at it lately, he's played great again. They're not giving up any goals. They've only allowed 13 goals in this 7-game winning streak. So how much of the Ducks' success do you think rests on the shoulders of the pads of their goalie?
Oh, it's huge. And even, once again, I'm resorting back to last game because it's been some time where I've seen Lukas Dostal have a save, but, it might deflect off his glove, or he tracked us wrong, or, he got some piece of equipment on it, but there was a loose rebound or a drop puck. But that was only in the first period. He was able to kind of reset himself. But, I think it's exactly what you're saying. The goaltenders really have been holding down the fort and just giving this team confidence. This team has big trust. The coaching staff has big trust in the goaltending department. They've really stopped the hemorrhaging, even when it got really bad there in the midst of the 9-gamer. But if they're solid, this Anaheim Ducks team has a solid chance to win each and every night.
And they're doing it lately without Carlson, without Terry, without McTavish, even Vetrano, who I know hasn't had the season that they were expecting from the Ducks. But that's really arguably probably your 3 top forwards. Maybe, 3 of your top 4. We're going to say Cutter Gauthier in your top 3. Most teams, Emerson, and you played, like you can get away with a few games without your top guys, but eventually it catches up with you. 7 games, all wins without their 2 top scorers is very rare in today's NHL.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to be interesting what the coaching staff does, right? Do they slip Leo Carlson back in the 1 seed position? Do they put him second line? He's obviously just a blossoming star, but just circumstantially, the tough decisions are going to come about, right? So, Mason McTavish, these guys, I know they're all students of the game. The guys who are currently injured, Troy Terry, of course, they're students of the game. They're watching from, at least right now, at home, and they're dissecting it. They're understanding how relentless this team without them is playing, how hungry they are. The play without the puck just didn't show there the first period, but they quickly got back to, and I'm referencing the last game again against Calgary, after the second and third period, they quickly got back to just going right into the fire. Each and every Calgary Flames ozone entry, they were sealing right in that 5 square feet of real estate right on their entries, and just playing that in-your-face style defensive mentality, zero hesitation, not even thinking for 1 second, but just you had better sticks on puck. They're going shoulder on shoulder. They're winning more puck battles throughout the game. So it only lasted a period, but now these guys, and it's almost like what you need in a sense, like a quick reset again, because you're facing this Edmonton Oilers team here tonight that, look, you need that perspective of, look, we can't go back to that first period there in Calgary. We know that not only is Edmonton going to bring the hard work that the Calgary Flames showed in that first period, but they have the skill to back it up, right? Big time performances recently here, Bouchard, McDavid. It's going to be a tall order as good as this Anaheim Ducks PK has been down the stretch. You got Connor McDavid having his skates out in the neutral zone before he gets that puck high on the flank. And it's just, you got to try to eliminate those passing lanes and get ahead of it before he even touches the puck. So that's going to be key here. Take away passing lanes, great angles, tracking back, you name it. It's going to be a dogfight tonight.
The Jackson Lacombe, big announcement for him, gets added to the U.S. team for the Olympics. I think a lot of people maybe around the league don't see Jackson Lacombe a lot, especially out east, because it's 3-hour time zone difference. You've seen his evolution, and it's for fans who don't see him, and they'll see him tonight. What's the best elements of Lacombe's game?
Well, how efficient his skating is. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of the offense is flown through him. And he's a guy that grabs the puck and goes. He knows whoever he's going to be paired with. That partner is going to be that anchor. That's the assignment for whoever he's playing with. That player is the anchor because he's just go, go, go. And it's not like a guy that just body language wise seems like he's buzzing and his body movement and mechanics is kind of erratic. He's just so smooth, so efficient with the skating. I mean, when the moment that one blade touches the ice and he gets that full extension each stride, it's pretty to watch. It's like art. And so he's just so efficient with the skating, so powerful. Doesn't take him too many strides to gain that distance. Maybe a comparison just skating wise would be, an Ekman Larson, right? Who has those long strides, taller leg here and can really just power their way up the ice. He makes the highest percentage plays each and every puck touch. On entry, he's delaying if he has that, or he's delaying facing the play if he's got that stick length on that pressure player. If he doesn't, he's curling up. He's cutting in to buy real estate on the outside before he cuts back. He's so active on the blue, straddles the blue. He can go boards to board on the blue. So he's just got that range. And he's a special player. I'm assuming a lot of people tuned into the World Championships last season, at the end of last season. He was dynamite. Him and Cutter Gauthier, I mean, they were playing well beyond their years. And that was a huge reason why Team USA had so much success.
Emerson, you look at the Ducks, and obviously they haven't been in playoffs in a while. So when you look at them and Pat Verbeek and his approach here at the trade deadline, is there a position or two you feel they really need to strengthen on the squad?
Yeah, I think we can make the argument that no one expected this Ducks team to do what they're doing, right? So I think you just got to be careful. Pat's been just perfect in his measurements, right? He goes aggressive when you have a Beckett Seneca there. When he got drafted, he's Central Scouting, ranks him, right around mid-round. He takes him at number 3. Everyone was surprised, but obviously it was calculated. Obviously, he knew that Columbus, till 2 months ago did I see Columbus in some posts that they had that Seneca jersey ready for number 4 pick overall. They were going to take Seneca. So he knew something was brewing. He knew he couldn't trade down. It was just a masterclass. I think everyone's not asking any more questions. Beckett Seneca last game just put this team on his back. It was a world-class game. So it's one of those things where, look, if knowing Pat, he's going to make the right move. I can anticipate him doing what's right for this organization within the next 3-4 years. And that's not selling a farm. That's not selling a bunch of picks. He's going to do what makes sense. And he's made just a ton of just solid moves. I think people at one point were questioning Trouba and just where he was at in his career. He's been dynamite. Chris Kreider, a big couple of games this last 2 outings, and so he's back on track and scoring to maybe some of those earlier season numbers. Look, I can't think of a bad move he's made over the last season and a half. If you look at even what Ryan Paling's done with this club, I mean, he had such a deceptive shifty pass there at Kreider's last game. Circumstantially, I mean, he's provided everything and more on a third line role. That's the guy that we needed. If you look at Jeffrey Viel, who we just picked up from Boston, making an impact that he wasn't making in Boston. He saw something in Viel, who has completely turned the shape of this roster around, making even more decisions here when these guys get healthy. So this team is super deep, super young. They're showing that they can put together full 60-plus minute games. I mean, if you look at the OT shootout record, that has playoffs written all over it when it comes to the game being on the line, and these guys, even young or old, just delivering. These guys aren't scared. These guys, they're ready to go up against anyone. That's why I really look forward to tonight's game.
Emerson, should be an interesting one. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the game.
Anytime, Jeff. Thanks.
Awesome. There's Emerson Needham, analyst for the Anaheim Ducks. I'll say this about the Ducks. Their games, no team in the NHL from a pure entertainment standpoint, has been more entertaining than the Ducks. They're right up there in goals for, and they're right up there in goals against. So you go to a Ducks game, you're likely to see some goals, as their goals are at 6.69. Nice per game in the NHL. The Colorado Avalanche not up there. The Oilers are close. The Oilers are at 6.55, so they're close. But I'll look during the break if there's anyone else. I don't think so. So are these the two highest scoring teams in goals for, goals against combined? I think it might be, actually. So might see some goals tonight. Food for thought. Food for thought. Quick break. We will return. We're going to get to more from the Edmonton Owners. We also have Mark Spector coming up and more. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium one-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular menu price. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's with a $6 one-top medium when you order any large specialty at regular menu price. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
And here comes Action Electrical Service Team sprinting onto the scene. These are your first responders for any electrical emergency.
That's right. With their fleet of service vans and specialized gear, they assess, they service, and maintain electrical lighting and automation systems. They're all about rapid response.
Quick diagnostics and repairs to restore power and safety fast. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
It only comes once a year.
Aw, Valentine's Day.
What? No, from the top. It only comes once a year.
Oh, here we go. The Rock and Roll Super Party, only at On the Rocks.
Join host Ryan Jesperson on Sunday, February 8th.
At OTR for the biggest football party in Edmonton.
Your $30 ticket includes
all-you-can-eat buffet, commemorative t-shirts, prepaid Miller Lights, and entry to all prizes, including
$1,000 cash.
The Rock and Roll Super Party.
Only at On the Rocks.
Book your table today.
OnTheRocksYEG.com.
Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the move, you're never more than a tap away from Sports 1440. Download the radio player or iHeart app today so you can get all access anytime to Edmonton's only sports radio station, Sports 1440.
The new double cheesy melt at McDonald's. We're talking 2 juicy, mouth-watering 100% Canadian beef patties, 2 slices of cheesy goodness, with even more melty, cheesy sauce on top. Topped with pickles, then crispy and grilled onions. The way it all comes together, you don't just eat it, you melt into it. The double cheesy melt, only at McDonald's. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
The job won't wait. Why should you? At AWS Welding Supplies and Repairs, conveniently located in Nisku, we've got everything you need to get it done. From product sales to servicing and calibrating machines, we're your one-stop shop. We're a proud, locally owned and operated business, committed to serving our community with a proven track record of customer service. Don't let a broken tool slow you down. We offer fast repairs and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Commissioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring graders, forklifts, wheel loaders, man lifts, mini excavators, skid steers, telehandlers, plus commercial trailers and sea cans. Info at maauctions.com.
Debt can take over your life.
The stress, the constant worry, it can feel like you're drowning. When people come to see me, they're often anxious and feeling hopeless. But when I explain how I can help them get out of debt, those feelings melt away. I'm Parveen Middleton, licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I will create a personalized debt relief plan so you can move forward with confidence. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved industrial auctions are this Thursday and Friday. These major events include multiple lanes selling a large section of multi-purpose trucks, equipment, and commercial trailers. Info at maauctions.com.
1, 2, 3.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Riverside Honda, 59 years and counting, is St. Albert and surrounding areas' premier Honda and Can-Am dealer. It's your dream. Ride it at riversidehonda.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$447. Lots of text line in 833-401-1440 is the Jason Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Casino, live dealer, lottery, instant sports. They got it all. For sure, though, if you do it, use your game sense. GameSenseAB.ca, and you can learn more. So make it fun. Stay in the right lane, which is always good. Lots of texts coming in, some interesting ones. I like this one because I thought the exact same thing. Hey, guys, I don't understand why the Rams didn't go for 2 after the last touchdown. Made no sense to kick the extra point and make it a 4-point game when they could have made it a field goal game. Mark, you know what, Mark? I totally agree with you because I think they thought, well, if we go up, if we miss it and then we score a touchdown, then we're only up by 2. That's what I'm going to guess was their thought process. But I agree with you that you try to, who cares if you're down 4 or 5? You're thinking, well, we have to score a touchdown if we kick the convert. And then if we miss the 2-pointer, we still have to score a touchdown. Right? You're worried about, well, if they're going to tie us, but you're not thinking about what you're doing. So it obviously didn't cost them the game, but I thought strategically at that point, late in the game, it's like I'll never, ever understand in the 2002 Grey Cup why the green and gold didn't punt for a single when they had like 9 chances to do it. 9, like Sean, that's where, you got to listen to your coach, but you're a punter. You could have said, man, I was trying to angle it out. I got too much of it. Right. I never understood that one. Right. Cons, because remember, then they had to go for the 2-pointer later. Didn't work. So now this one obviously didn't come down to that, but I thought the exact same thing why they didn't do it.
Yeah, especially with Sean McVay and just the, his play calling and timing and everything like that. Like he couldn't find something that he'd get Devontae Adams the ball once again, like run the exact same play. It worked out pretty good for them. I was with you guys. I thought the same sort of thing, like make it a 3-point game, put yourself in a chance to kick a field goal to at least tie it if needed. Don't force yourself to get the 7.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I like Bouchard, but he should be able to produce more points away with from McDavid and Draisaitl. If you're paying him that much money, then we'd score more. Again, offense really isn't the Oilers' problem. They're the 3rd highest-scoring team in the NHL. Limiting goals is the thing. But here's a fun little stat for you. Do you know McDavid and Draisaitl, when they play away from Bouchard, produce as much as Bouchard produces when he's away from them? Right? They're all better together. But even McDavid and Draisaitl away from now when they're together, McDavid obviously produces points, but I'm not expecting, it's hard to drive offense as a defenseman. Right? You can pass the puck and you can make breakout pass after breakout pass, put it right on the tape every time. But if your 3rd and 4th line guys don't have the ability to score, what are we saying here? You want your best puck mover who can thread a needle more regularly and more effectively than your other pair defensemen out with your best forwards as much as you can. Right? That's just common sense here. You're not going to say, you know what, Evan, we're going to play you away from McDavid and Draisaitl more in the hopes it creates offense for the other lines. Well, but what it does is it decreases the offensive potential of McDavid and Draisaitl when you have Bouchard. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, no sane coach would do that. Like, no chance would you do that. That would be a bad with a capital B decision. Bad decision. So I do want to get to Bouchard's game a little bit more because I think that is something I'm going to tell you right now. We might not see again for another 30 years by any defenseman in the NHL. Like, it is hard to have 3 goals, 3 assists, and 6 points in a game by a defenseman. Right? It's only happened by 5 defensemen ever, and one of them happened in 1922. Okay? So none of us were around then. It was an amazing performance. And in every facet of the game did he dominate. It was so impressive by Evan Bouchard. And Paul Coffey's had 2 goals and 4 assists game for the Oilers. Cale Makar's had a 2-goal, 4-assist game. We've had a few guys have 1 goal, 5-assist game. Like, that's, Sheldon Surrey did that as a member of the Canadians, right? So those will happen. But 6, there's only in the history of the NHL 24 games where a player had a defenseman, that is, had 6 points. And 6 times they didn't even have a goal, right? They had 6 apples. And then another 6 times they had 1 goal. So you get into the hat trick range. Like, it's obviously very, very rare. And then you throw in, the time on ice, you throw in the shots, you throw in the hits, you throw in the fact that he's on the penalty kill, he's blocking shots. You throw in the play he made at the blue line to keep the puck in that allowed the Oilers to then score later on in that possession. Like, Bouchard had himself a heck of a game. A heck of a game. And one that you might say you never see again from an effect. Like Connor McDavid, as great as Connor McDavid is, he's only had 1 game in his career where he scored 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Like, it's hard to do. Never mind a forward. Defenseman, hard to do. And the thing about Bouchard that I think separates him from a lot of the other defensemen is just how lethal his shot is. Like, not many wingers, centers can score the 3rd goal that Bouchard scored. Walks in right in the slot and absolutely, just overpowers the goalie. Just overpowers him. Perfect shot right inside the post. Like, it doesn't happen, man. And to me, that's what's so impressive about it. So, you look at Bouchard, and I will say, the one guy that no one's talking about right now, Evan Bouchard last year dominated when it came to 90-mile-an-hour slap shots or higher. Snapshot, slap shot, whatever. Just 90 mile. This year, Cons, he's second by a fair margin when it comes to 90 to 100 miles an hour. I'm going to give you 5 guesses on which defenseman has more 90-plus mile-an-hour shots than Evan Bouchard. There's only one. I'll give you 5 guesses.
We're running against the clock and don't have much time. Can you save me the guessing and the embarrassment? Because I'm guessing it's going to be someone I don't expect.
Oh, no. He's a top offensive defenseman in the
league.
league.
Werenski?
No.
Cale Makar?
No.
Quinn Hughes?
Nope. You know what? None of those guys, funny enough, none of those are even in the top 10.
Power doesn't come to mind with those guys for me.
Yeah.
Younger Drew Doughty.
Oh, nice. No, it's Darren Radish.
Oh, okay.
Tampa Bay. Like, Darren Radish has burst onto the scene this year in the NHL. Right? Like, I'm sure many of our listeners aren't aware that Darren Radish right now is right up there in defense scoring with 43 points. Right? He's 6th amongst NHL defensemen in scoring. 43 points. And you're probably like, who? And I get it. It's not like Darren Radish has been a guy that's burst on the scenes offensively. Now, he had 33 points and 37 points the last 2 years in Tampa Bay. but he's really emerged. That Hedman got injured. He got more opportunity, but his shot right now, he's had 55 90-plus mile-an-hour shots in the NHL this year. Bouchard's had 34, and Bouchard's second. Right now, 80 to 90 miles an hour, Bouchard has more, 75 to 48. So, Bouchard still, he has a lot of velocity on his shot, right? He has the, but when it comes to high end this year, Darren Radish, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. The hardest shot recorded in the NHL this year is actually not a defenseman. It's the leading goal scorer in the 2025 calendar year. Morgan Geekie ripped one 103.03 miles an hour. Then Ryan Pollock was 103.01. JT Miller, 102.58. Colin Miller, Louis Crevier, Victor Hedman, Connor Timmins, Gustav Forsling, Rasmus Anderson, Darren Radish. Those are the 10 guys who've had a shot of 100 miles an hour or more this season. That's it. So when you look at Darren Radish's season, you got to be pretty impressed. You got to be impressed. Last year, Tage Thompson ripped one 106 miles an hour, which is crazy. But Bouchard last year, he had 74 92 to 100 mile an hour slap shots, most in the NHL. Hedman was second at 61. And Radish was sixth at 38, but he's just getting more opportunities to unload his shot cons, and that guy's got an absolute cannon. So something to watch for if you're checking out. If you're in a fantasy hockey league and you haven't, you might be wanting to look to make some moves. Anybody who has Radish, so it's pretty good. Quick break. When we come back, Mark Spector will join us. It is the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Now let's get to a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Even though it's 2026, don't forget that Mike and the gang have huge savings right now on 2025 models. Great savings, northgategm.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
It's a game day. Oilers hosting the Ducks down at Rogers Place. Bucks are up set for 6:30. Our pregame coverage with Andrew Walker, Jason Gregor, Landon Ferraro gets going at 5:30 here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere, you got the Lightning in Mammoth, Bruins in New York take on the Rangers, and the Flyers will host the Islanders. Kings and Blue Jackets postponed until March 9th due to weather in Columbus. In the NBA tonight, Magic in Cleveland, Celtics host the Trailblazers, got the Lakers and the Bulls, Rockets, Grizz, and the Warriors in Minnesota. Earlier today, the Pacers fell to the Hawks 132-116, and the Hornets over the 76ers 130-93 at the Scotties. Earlier this afternoon, Nova Scotia gets past Newfoundland 9-1. It was the Skrillex rink from Alberta over Nunavut 9-2. PEI gets past New Brunswick 7-6, in Northern Ontario falls to Manitoba 9-2. From the CFL, Austin Mack getting a head start on CFL free agency as the Montreal Alouettes released the veteran receiver today. He was due a $45,000 bonus on February 1st as part of a 4-year deal he signed with the Owls in 2024. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and get to our pregame coverage. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free Radio Player app and listen wherever you go.
Action Electrical Solar Team is now making a play for sustainability and savings. They're specialists in powering up for a greener future.
That's the strategy. Designing and installing high-efficiency solar panels. They're helping homes and businesses combat rising utility costs by harnessing the power of the sun.
A smart move for efficiency and the environment. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpot's Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Made for some rough roads, but it means trails are now packed and ready for action. Don't miss out on riding adventures this winter with a Ski-Doo from Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. Work or play with new 2026 Generation 5 models with class-leading design and power, and right now take advantage of 5.99% financing OAC only at Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo, 15 Inglewood Drive in St. Albert, and always at riversidehonda.com. Shop local, shop Canadian.
If you're looking for nonstop sports coverage, tune into Sports 1440, Edmonton's only sports radio station.
24/7 coverage comes at you with expert commentary, in-depth analysis,
And so much more.
We are Sports 1440.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquacentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
For online.
Does your New Year's resolution include saving money? Then don't miss the store-wide inventory clearance at the Brick. Save up to 70% off in-store clearance items. Buy more, save more on bedroom and dining furniture. Up to 25% off. Save on select major kitchen appliances. Plus, buy 2 or more and save the tax. Finally, a resolution you can keep. The Brick, saving you more. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fan.
Gregor,
Your
Connor Halley,
power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection,
Sunday
slamming products from the best
afternoon.
brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that
Jason Gregor
project.
Show is up. Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru. Engineered for Canadian winters, built for real-life confidence. Tackle the ice and snow with Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, delivering the power, control, stability, and grit you need. And when the temperature plummets, you'll cruise in comfort with heated seats and heated steering wheel. All this plus peace of mind with Subaru's top safety pick status for 19 years running. This winter, it's time to get you into a Subaru. Visit Subaru.ca today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. The Oilers are back in action, and OTR is ready to be your hockey headquarters. $5.75 Molson Canadian, 69-cent wings, and you can play score and win every game. See more at ontherocksyeg.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.504, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, game day, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. We always appreciate it as the Oilers taking on the Ducks. A little earlier start time tonight. Remember, puck drop around 6:40-ish, and it'll be on Prime, not on your regular channels. So adjust accordingly. Make plans. Maybe some of your buddies have the channel. Maybe you got to go out to first round or OTR to watch a game. If you want to watch it, good chance based on the previous games this season. These two teams have yet to play each other. The Oilers have played 53 games. The Ducks played 52 games. So that's 105 games combined. The Oilers and the Ducks are 1-2 in the NHL for most combined goals in a game, as they score a lot and they give up a lot. So if you're thinking there might be some goals tonight, might be a case. The Oilers are averaging 6.55 total goals in their games. Meanwhile, the Anaheim Ducks are up at 6.69, which is most in the NHL. So we'll see. Will there be offense tonight? I hope so. That would obviously be nice. Who doesn't like some goals? I know I do. So it's always good. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Text us or call us. Same number. Let's get to the spec report now, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialist. When all the big jobs need to get done, GS is normally in there first, ensuring all the underground utilities are ready to roll. GS Construction. Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing?
Hey, man, that's pretty cool stats. You got it figured out there, don't you?
Well, I like offense, Spec, you know that.
I know, for
especially in the
sure.
regular season. So, you know what? Now, that means it'll probably be a 1-0 game. So that's the unfortunate part about that.
You know what I'm looking at? So let's go back. I think it was 2017 when the Oilers finally made the playoffs with Todd McClellan, right? And they won a series. Who'd they beat? They beat somebody. Calgary?
No, San Jose in 2000.
San Jose. And then they played Anaheim in the second round. And Anaheim had been better than the Oilers for a long time. They still had Getzlaf. They still had Perry. They still had Kessler, as I recall. I forget it was in net for him by then. It wasn't Jaguar anymore. But anyway, the point is,
John Gibson.
John Gibson was in there by then, of course. The Oilers took a real run at him that year and probably should have beat him and didn't, because the Anaheim pulled their last vestiges of experience out and tamped the young Oilers down. And in fact, they haven't missed the playoffs for a couple more years after that, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And then away Edmonton went. And that was it for Anaheim. They haven't been seen again until right about now. And I'm looking at an Anaheim team that's going to meet Edmonton in a playoff series at some point here. And as much as Edmonton is still probably a better team and more experienced and all those things, Anaheim's on the way up, man. Arrows are up down there. They're coming. And the Oilers are going to have to fend that team off just the way Getzlaf and Perry tried to fend off the old Oilers a few years ago.
Yes. The team tonight, though, Spec, no Troy Terry, no Leo Carlson.
Yes.
No McTavish.
Like they get in a row.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And no Dostal tonight. So, like, my goodness, 3 and 4 back to back. You're no starting goalie. 3 of your top 4 forwards are out of the game. Like, the Oilers, Kevin Woodley, they had 20 high danger chances last game against Washington. 20. Now they gave up 14, but they still had 20. And both teams' goaltenders, despite allowing 6 and 5 goals, still ended the game with a positive goal saved above expected, which doesn't happen very often. It just shows you.
6-5 game.
Yeah, they created a ton of chances, right? So they created a ton of chances. And the Ducks, they give up a lot. And now, Ville Husso's last start, they didn't give up any. Now, it was the Kings. But if you're Edmonton, Spec, like, you gotta find a way. We had Emerson Edom on the show, and he says, hey, yeah, that's the area of their game that, they're still learning. They're a young team. What's the hardest thing to learn? How to play sound defensively. And if you look at after Trouba and Radko Gudas, who you got to have your head up when they're on the ice, they got a really young defense core. So Edmonton, in theory, should be able to generate some offensive chances tonight.
Well, in theory, I mean, we watched this with the Oilers, and until, I remember writing a particular column and eating it for about 2 years, that until their leaders learned to play a sound defensive game, and they weren't the defensemen, right? Until McDavid and Draisaitl learned how to lead their team at both ends of the ice and when to take the chance and when to go for offense and had the ability to say, okay, you know what? It's 3-1. That's enough offense. Let's just win the hockey game. Until Edmonton's best guys figure that out, and they have, Edmonton didn't have success. So Anaheim's going to go through the same thing. All their best young players have to, at some point, learn how to defend and have to, at some point, learn we're not going for it all the time. I'm not flying the zone every shift. There's times to fly the zone, but there's times to defend. So, you know what? It is. That's why I think this is a cool matchup, because, to me, I kind of look at the Ducks. It looked like the Oilers 6 years ago. And the Oilers 6 years ago were a lot of fun. They had a lot to learn.
Yes, very true. Very true. Now, Evan Bouchard, a game for the ages on Saturday night. 3 goals, 3 assists, 8 shots, block shots, big hit, great play to keep it in the blue line like that. Connor McDavid has had some really dominant nights, Spec. Like that night by Bouchard ranks right up there with some of McDavid's. Like just how well he played. His third goal was an absolute beauty and a rocket. Like that was a phenomenal game by Bouchard.
Oh my God. And you know what? 26-year-old player. Now he's in his prime. Like this is prime Evan Bouchard. And, I think he's sort of a metaphor for what we were talking about just a minute ago. Like you'll notice since about November 15th, he's been a exceptionally sound defensive player as well. Right. I mean, he's never going to be a lockdown guy, whatever, name one for me, Edmondson or one of those guys. That's not who he is. I don't want him to be that guy. But man, like when he cuts loose offensively the way he did the other night, there's very few. I mean, there's like 2 guys in the league that can even think of doing what he does. He shoots it harder than anyone. So given time, I mean, he scored 3 goals on 3 wrist shots, Jay, from the point. Not many defensemen score 3 wrist shot goals, right? Like the Bush bomb wasn't out and he had a hat trick. So listen, it's all there. It's a package. And I see the debate now, right? In the game since Drew Doughty was named to the Olympic team, so far the points are 18 for Bouchard and 0 for Doughty. And people are already second guessing the fact that Bouchard's not on that team and they haven't even left for Milan yet.
Yeah. And that's going to happen. Right. And I understand it. I was surprised at all the defensemen they took. Like, I never really buy the theory. Well, you can only have one offensive defenseman. Bouchard's more than just an offensive defenseman. He might be their best penalty killing defenseman right now. Makes a lot of good decisions. And, he's very strong on his stick. Watch when Bouchard has a chance to clear the puck, how it gets out, and then compare it to some of the other guys who, when they get a chance, it doesn't always go out.
Yeah, okay. And he's learning how to, you always talk about this, Jay. Guys who only practice the things they're already good at. Like there's no point in it, right? Bouchard's come in the league and he's improved all the things that he wasn't good at. And he's so much better now defensively than he was. His you gotta differentiate between a one-off mistake where you cough the puck up and it goes the other way, and poor defensive play. Is he still guilty of the one-off? Yeah, he's guilty of the one-off. He's got the puck so much. Yeah, he screws up sometimes. That's the way it is. But that doesn't make you a poor defender. It doesn't mean you can't defend. And I'll tell you right now, we've seen him in the under the brightest spotlight, the strongest microscope in second, third, fourth round series. And man, he plays just fine defensively in those situations. So, and I'll include myself in this. Maybe we should worry a little bit less how he defends in October and November, and remember how he defends in April, May, and June.
Oh, I've said it for a long time, right? Like if I think you can't value a game in November. And again, it's a lot. You see it on the highlights, but the highlights don't pick out the really elite plays. When Bouchard walks a guy at the blue line, and I'm not talking always around, he'll have a guy checking him, little side, toe drag around the guy, just keeps the puck in the zone. And people think it's an average play. There's like 10 defensemen who are even going to try it. And what Sean Brown said earlier, I think made a lot of sense. He goes, it's the guys who are willing to try it after it fails. Because that takes guts and it takes courage and a skill level and a confidence to do it, right? Because you can make the play and not have it happen, and then you have some coach, don't try that again, which is really kind of foolish. But some players instinctively be like, oh, geez, I don't want to try that again. And Bouchard's like, no, I know I can do it. I'm not going to do it 100% of the time, but I'm probably going to do it 98% of the time. And that's why it makes him elite in those regards.
Well, unfortunately for him, he did have a few horrendous nights on big nights when Team Canada was watching this year. And I don't care what you say, those nights stick. You don't just wake up the next day and they disappear. I was in the building on the island when Brisebois was there from Julien Brisebois, the Tampa Bay general manager, who's part of Team Canada. He was in the building. He was looking at everybody. And unfortunately, Bouchard just had a night for the ages. He was so bad. And hey, it happens. He just happened at the wrong time. I'm fascinated now. There's two things here. We're going to watch this defense play in Milan, and let's see how that goes. I guarantee you this is the last Olympics for Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty's, this is it for him, right?
Yeah.
We're going to wonder if they win a gold medal, then they did it all right, and no one's second-guessing anybody. If they don't win, we're going to start to say, well, geez, the Harleys of the world and the Sandines, they're good players, but they don't have the juice that Bouchard has. Why are we leaving that juice at home? So let's see how this goes, and let's see where it goes. Is Bouchard, by the time these Olympics start, I think Bouchard's going to become the best Canadian defenseman who's not on the team.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty safe statement for sure. I would think, and who knows? The way guys are getting down with injuries, man. It's the last 2 weeks. You never know. Something could happen. You hope that doesn't happen. Look at Sweden. Like Simon Edvinsson. There's they thought he was going to go and maybe replace Brodin. Well, now he's out.
Possibly, yeah.
For the next 5 games. So. Lindholm might be going, Matthias Ekholm didn't get the sense that he thought the coach loved him that much. So he might not be going. And actually, if you're an Oilers fan, you don't want Matthias Ekholm at his age going to the Olympics. I know he wants to go and I get why, but big picture for Oilers fans, I can see why they didn't. Josh Szymanski, Spec, he'll make his NHL debut tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. And, this is another, tip of the cap to Stan Bowman as professional scouts who find a guy, playing in Europe, who, 23 years of age, big center iceman, and he's come over here, and man, he leads the Bakersfield Condors in even strength scoring.
Yeah, and these are the little pickups. Like, oh my God, if Bowman and his people could wipe July 1st off their menu, he'd win GM of the year every year. Right?
Well, he's only had one, but you're right. He's only had one.
He's only had one. He wasn't there for the first one. July 1st is killing the Oilers. The rest of the time, oh my God, are they picking up good players all around the league, right? Bud Colson and Szymanski and Roslovic, and they're doing a great job. So anyway, this guy, you're right. You get a free player and a young player. We saw him at training camp this year, and he was far better than we thought he'd be. For one, he did play. Now, did he just play 1 year in the OHL, Jay?
No, Szymanski played 2.
Played 2. So he's got experience over here, which is huge. Like, he's played the game here. And, that's a big deal. We saw that with David Tomaszek. There's a big learning curve when you come from Europe and you show up here. And he's done some of that, and it shows because he went to Bakersfield and he excelled. Guys who play their first year in the AHL at that age and they excel, they're a dime a dozen, man. Very few have an excellent season the way Szymanski has in his rookie year. So all arrows point to there's a player here. How good, how long, how soon, we'll figure. I don't know the answer to that. But all arrows, when I look at players we've watched come and go and here and there of all these years, they point at Szymanski. This guy's going to be a player, and he's a player you got for free.
Well, I should clarify. He played 2 years in Ontario, but the first year was like their junior A level in Brantford, and then he played in the OHL.
Okay.
But he did play 2 years in Canada. Just want to clarify. In junior, and he's come back over here, and you know what? It seems like a really good kid with an attitude. He told me a hilarious story about when he found out he was on the German Olympic team.
Oh yeah, what did he say?
Well, he was driving in his car, and he was doing an interview with a German reporter who had found out that he was on the team somehow before he'd even talked to anybody on the team. And so he's doing the interview, and then on the other line, the coach called him, and he was talking to the coach. He's like, "Hey, I got to call you right back because I got to finish this interview." And he was laughing about it.
I know why you're calling.
Yeah, exactly. So that was pretty funny. But he was very honest about it. He goes, "Man, the biggest thing I learned when I came here this year was how important faceoffs are in North America. And, it's not the same focus point in Germany." And so he said, "I wasn't very good in the rookie camp, and I wasn't very good in the exhibition, but I've really worked on it. The guys have helped me out, and he's paying attention. So I'm sure when he comes up here, like Leon Draisaitl, one of the best faceoff guys in the league, trust me, Draisaitl and Szymanski, both German, going to play in the Olympic team. He'll probably give him any tips he can get. But big, strong guy at 6'2", 200 pounds, and good skater, more of a passer, I think, than a shooter. Well, which is fine. And so it looks like he'll probably start tonight on a line with Roslovic and Savoy. And I'll say this, Spec, like, That line's got some speed. Like Matt Savoy's game here the last 3-4 games, he's really moving.
Yeah, and if Szymanski starts getting chucked out of the circle 2 out of every 3 draws, we'll know he's been working with Draisaitl. So yeah, hey, young speed. Young speed. Do we think he's centering that line with Roslovic tonight?
Oh yeah, he's not a winner. I don't think they're calling.
Good for him. So let's watch it. Let's watch it unfold, man. Roslovic gets a couple young guys. I mean, he's got some games under his belt here. Now he's comfortable. His game is picking up. He's somehow taken a bit of a jump, Savoy. Like when we see young players, this is how it goes, right? Look at Ike Howard. We're waiting for him to take a jump. That jump ain't coming, right? He needs to go. I agree with him going back to Baco. Take another run at it. It's not a tragedy, right? He came up, didn't work out, going back down. He'll be back again. Savoy did get a jump, and let's see where Szymanski is. I'll be surprised if he holds a spot on this team the rest of the season. I really will be. But hey, call me wrong, man. I'd love to see the kid have some success up here.
Yeah. He gets a taste, like in the case of Howard, like Matt Savoy didn't play in the NHL last year. There's nothing wrong with spending a year in the American League. And now the difference between Savoy and Howard, Spec, is Savoy was in there, and why is he playing in Edmonton? Because he can kill penalties. Right? Like he doesn't sure, he's on the second unit power play, which gets like 9 seconds a game. But he's a penalty killer. He's 5-on-5. He's fat. Where the Howard, people are going to look at his point totals when he goes down. I don't doubt that he can score at the American League level. That's not what he has to work on. He needs to work on better reads defensively and moving the puck quicker. And the last one is really hard to do because when you're better than guys in the American League, you can hold on to it a little bit more. But you have less time and space in the NHL because everybody's quicker. And so that's the hardest thing to work on in the American League, is because you're like, okay, got to move it quicker. But that's what he's going to have to do. He's got to move the puck quicker if he wants to play with Draisaitl or McDavid.
Yeah, that's fair, because those guys need the puck. The third thing I would say is he's got to bring the puck inside. He's got to get his game inside. He spends a lot of time out on the edges of the offensive zone. When he does, get the puck and carry it through the neutral zone, it exceedingly ends in a button hook along the wall at the hash marks. The puck doesn't ever get inside. If I'm giving him advice, and he doesn't want it from me, but if I am, he's got to bring his game closer to the net. He's not scoring from distance all the time here. He's got to get the puck inside. So, hey, these are the things you got to work on. He's a first-year NHL player, and I'm with you on this, man. There is no tragedy sending a guy back. Absolutely none. And let him work in his game, see where it goes.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. Spec, have a good one. We will see you down at the rink.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Jay. Should be fun tonight.
There you go. There's my Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Hey, guys, I love Bouchard, but 2010 Mike Green led all D-men in points and got snubbed. It's not always about points from Darcy. Darcy, I totally agree with your last line about point. Now, Mike Green had a really good season that year, but the difference is Bouchard. Look at Bouchard's playoff production prior to being announced compared to Mike Green. It's not even close. Right? Like Bouchard is an over a point a game player in the playoffs when it matters most. So he's a different point guy. Also, I'm just looking at who are the guys that beat him out. So if you look at who was named to the Canadian team in 2010, right? You had Scott Niedermayer, like world-class Hall of Famer. Chris Pronger, Hall of Famer. Shea Weber, Hall of Famer. Duncan Keith, Hall of Famer. Drew Doughty was a rookie, then young guy. Well, not a rookie. He was young in the league. Now he's a Hall of Famer. Right? So, and was Dan Boyle the other guy on that team? I can't remember who was the other defenseman on Team Canada. Was it Joe Cons? Maybe I have to look it up in 2010. But those guys are all Hall of Famers. You look at this year's team on Canada's back end. Cale Makar, probably going to be a Hall of Famer. Colton Parayko, no. Sanheim, no. Now, Drew Doughty is, but this was Drew Doughty, 16 years later. Right? It was Boyle. Okay, good. Dan Boyle is a really good player. And I just look at the guys who got picked ahead of him. Like, there's no Shea Weber. There's no Duncan Keith. I'm excluding Makar. Makar is obviously very good. Then there's Niedermayer and Pronger. Like, that Canadian team in 2010, that was a loaded hockey team, right? Especially on the back end, right? And I look at this team, and I don't see that dominant of guys on the back end. Like, I like Thomas Harley. I like Josh Morrissey, but, Shea Theodore, like, are any of those guys, other than Makar and Doughty, are any of them projected to be Hall of Famers? Like, none of them to this point have done anything like that. So the guys that Mike Green lost out to were all guys that by 2010, Pronger was a Hall of Famer. Niedermeyer was a Hall of Famer, right? Duncan Keith was well on his way to it, right? The season he had. He was a remarkable young player. I just don't see that with this group. So I look at Bouchard and I'm like, if we were just looking at resumes of him compared to those guys, look what he's done. And I don't see why you can't. I don't buy the argument you can't have Makar and Bouchard on the same team. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Right? First of all, you could make an argument Bouchard might be a better power play player than Makar, number one, if you're talking only power play. But he kills penalties. Plays 5-on-5. Why wouldn't you want? And you've got McKinnon on one line and you got McDavid on the other line. Why wouldn't you want one of Bouchard and Makar, who everybody agrees are the two best passing defensemen? Why wouldn't you want them on separate pairs? Now you can have one pair. You could have Makar out with McKinnon. You could have Bouchard out with McDavid. So I've never really bought that argument. Now, I think Canada's going to win anyway, even if he's not on the team. But I think you could make a strong argument why he could be deserving of going there. Right now, the other guys will be fine. And don't tell me Bouchard can't defend. Watch the damn playoffs. Are you telling me Bouchard didn't defend the playoffs? Just yes or no. So I don't care about nobody, because I can show you highlights of the other guys making bad plays in the regular season. But in the playoffs, Bouchard, you can't argue he doesn't defend. Hey, Greggs, will we ever see Clattenburg again? Well, I talked to Connor. Very strange injury. So in his left hand, on basically your ring finger on your left hand, just kind of take it down from your knuckle and go there. He went to twist, and that's where the bone broke in his hand. And so he's out for another 5 weeks, probably till the end of February. So he's hoping to be back early March. Is kind of the diagnosis for him. But I think by then you probably won't see him again this year. But I'll tell you, no, that guy's coming. Because they have no one in the organization. If he's on my fourth line playing 10 minutes a night, if he can learn to kill penalties, like Olivier, people forget that. That's what Olivier does. He kills penalties. And so if I'm Connor Clattenburg, that's what I'm working on, man. I'm working on, okay, what can I do to become a penalty killer? Right? And if I'm in the American League next year, I'm knocking on the coach's door every day. I want to kill penalties. I want to kill penalties. I want to kill penalties. Because that'll get him ice time to stay in. But no, I don't think you'll see him this year, but definitely down the road. You might see him for a game late in the season, potentially. We'll see. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and it's the pregame show. Walks is in early. He's very excited. His afternoon nap was cut short, but he's ready to roll. That comes up next here. It's the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Does your New Year's resolution include saving money? Then don't miss the store-wide inventory clearance at the Brick. Save up to 70% off in-store clearance items. Buy more, save more on bedroom and dining furniture. Up to 25% off. Save on select major kitchen appliances. Plus, buy 2 or more and save the tax. Finally, a resolution you can keep. The Brick, saving you more. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas,